outskirts, they're going to be keeping an eye out for the stragglers.
Rejects playing the same exact position as they did yesterday in the same exact zone. It worked decently well enough for the Rejects. The position that they had earlier was in the new circle, but I like this. Rejects is very heads up. They're a team that's not scared to make the rotation, even if they get the zone, but it's on the very edge, right? They're going to make that gamble play. They're going to make that rotation. It is similar to the first game, right? They had a strong position in school. It was in the edge of zone, and they take that gamble. They go more center in a position that they pretty much, yeah, they pretty much know is open. There's no teams that would be playing that position in the previous zone. Very small chance. And the Rejects, they don't have clear sightlines of that, but they have a good idea of if anybody's going to be there, it could be us if we go now. And they're now finding themselves in a very similar position as game number 1. They put themselves in a center position that's not very strong, but they'll manage to keep a majority of their players up.
It looks like they were actually forced here by Furious Gaming, who moved on in. Duello was knocked on out. The confirmation came through. It wasn't Furious Gaming that picked it up, but it looks like there was another team that was applying that pressure, and that's why Duello was left on behind. So they had to make that decision right off of the cuff, which might be why they're heading into a very, familiar spot. They know the zone. They know that position. This time, at least, IHC isn't behind them. It is Game Lords, however, that might be able to wrap around them. And, you're talking about rotations and a little bit of that chaos. Look at this Besiktas. They are split up on the outskirts of zone. All players on their own vehicle making a rotation in, and unfortunately that 2-2 split has now been reduced to a 2-1 split.
Besiktas not managing to find an entryway in. I feel like this late in the game, when you see this dip, Xavier just getting desperate now for any sort of position. The Xaviers, they're going to pull a similar move, and a little bit too late on that one. Rejects with a heads-up play. This position's already taken. And Rejects will pick up some eliminations for themselves too. 2 eliminations. Still firing back. They're going to have to keep their heads down a bit longer here. Game Lords with an interesting split, by the way. That teal-blue color, a 1-1... a 1-2-1 split? Game Lords.
I think it is?
Yeah.
No, it's a 1-1-1.
Oh, they're down to 3. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Spreading them out, spreading the players out a little bit, maybe maximizing potential circle blessings. Next circle is about to shift as well.
You see that other lovely little bit of a blue color? Yeah, that's Besiktas making a rotation right in between, pretty much trained to kill 4 angry men. Game Lords even had an opportunity to chime on in, so yeah, they will be reduced down to 1. Only Zessi now still alive in a very tough rotation they had to make. At least with that zone, they don't have to think about another one just for the time being. However, now all of the teams needing to move on in for angry men will be one of the teams on the pressure block alongside FaZe. Look at the compounds that they hold and look at the angles that they actually have available to themselves, with all of these other teams now having to rotate in closer to center.
Everyone's going to be starting to get crunched in, more so from the western side. Geek Fam losing the zone, Falcons losing the zone, GK, GD, Genesis Dogma, Gids, and Nongsham all on the western side losing the circle. And all of the teams I just mentioned are pretty much 4-man teams. So we're going to see a lot of strong powerhouses as far as numbers are concerned start crushing in on the western side. Nongsham Red Sports. Or Nongsham Red Force, sorry. One of them getting knocked, and Genesis Dogma Gids. Is that going to be the opening for them to get aggressive? Here comes Geek Fam coming in aggressive on the western half. Victor, last one up, at least for this position, because we mentioned earlier they are playing split. Can Victor find a knock and a finish? Yuhai might be the unlucky player to run into Victor. Or maybe they won't even clear it out. Genesis Dogma going really hard straight into the center, almost onto 4 a.m. Genesis Dogma gets a complete different team, playing way more aggressive, no longer scared to make these plays, and they'll push out 4 a.m. They'll be able to secure that compound for themselves for now.
Ooh, Rejects just chiming in at the last possible second to find a knock onto 4 angry men. However, no opportunity to actually get that confirmation, but they're just so cheeky in that last little opportunity. They are keeping an eye out for these opportunities. Now, Geek Fam, GK Esports, hello. down to a few bits of pieces here as those damage numbers are going to be moving on in Geek Fam. They are also helping to take out the likes of Game Lords. So remember, we've got Geek Fam over with Victor. We've got Game Lords now feeling at the brunt of the action onto one of the other solos. Victor going to be going down. There's no opportunity for the res because of how split they were. And it looks like only Akashi, for now, is left alone.
Victor actually came up huge. He got 2 knocks there. But yeah, being the solo and Geek Fam with 4 instantly, eyes right back onto where the second Victor fire and they take down Victor. So Geek Fam will be able to reset up to a 4-man team when they were almost just down to 2.
GK Esports also, they had a little bit of a glimmer of hope here into the next zone, but just the shots that are raining on in Nongshim Red Force picking up 2, feeling good as well for Angry Men. Here towards the center, still holding on to the compounds. Genesis Dogma actually haven't aggressed further than the initial take of that compound. They've just taken up some real estate within zone. They've given themselves a great amount of cover. Ooh, but they need to still be careful. Rejects are in the vicinity, and Rejects have been taking a shot at 4 Angry Men and Genesis.
Rejects right now looking to just soften this compound up because more than likely they're going to have to make a push. They have vehicles. And if there's any compound that they would have to push into, I mean, all rotations out of that dip at this point are difficult. They're going to rather want the circle than not. But I'd imagine if they're going to make a gamble play, a gamble push onto anything, it would be onto Genesis Dogma Gets. They saw that team roll up. They know there's a chance. And, just as I say that, they're making that push. Yeah, they're going for it. That's the most they can do at this point. They're actually going for the shack across the ways. And, getting taken down by Geek Fam. Tough position for the Rejects to really get anything done. Game Lords will stay alive with Akashi, that solo player in that shack.
The problem is, I was saying Akashi is left alone for the time being because, they were alone. There was no opportunity really for anyone to get a shot into them. And even a lack of information meant Akashi was safe. But now with that push from Rejects, they saw what happened. They know there's something lurking in that little compound there, that little shelter. So that is going to give out Akashi's position. Geek Fam moving on in now from the southwestern portion, just behind Rejects. A lot of danger now as Rejects are reduced down to only 1. They've tried their play on out. The rotation has to be here. Geek Fam going to have to do the same for Angry Men now. Have an opportunity onto 5 buggies to try and get some eliminations.
Yeah, they take the reject position, but I think they're going to soon figure out, like, hey, this isn't really fully in zone either. They still have 4. They can make a crash somewhere. They could get an opening. 2 of their players get knocked. That's going to slow everything down. Now the blue zone's closing in, but it's just slow enough for them to maybe get these revives and then make their next play. It's going to be really sloppy, though, because a lot of time is being wasted. Furious Gaming in the elimination feed, getting some work done in here. Those are mostly long-range knocks. Tim Entertainment, they're not in zone. They're going to have to make a play. I think that might be the next team to really show up huge here. Same with IHC and Falcon. This new zone shift has actually forced the teams on north and south to make some plays. And here is Tim Entertainment coming in. They are being cut down, though. The fortress of Train to Kill a little bit too strong. And that is Tim Entertainment eliminated.
Loving that they had to make that rotation. We saw them doing that 2-2 split with Rejects earlier on. They secured this compound, and now with that regroup, they are holding strong. Nongshim Red Force, though, here we go. Genesis Dogma Gets have not had a chance. First Rejects, now Nongshim Red Force moving on in for that location, for that opportunity. They will be reduced down to 2, holding the line. The spray comes through. It's good. It finds 1. It gives them that opportunity, a little bit of the room to breathe. They need to go for this res. Only 1 HP separating them, and the med kit pops on off just in time to get knocked. Genesis will hold on. Nongshim Red Force have 1 more player, but that player doesn't really want to jump into this just yet.
Yeah, and then Geek Fam, in the midst of all that chaos, has pushed right on to 4 a.m. A very successful push. They managed to breach on in and not lose a single player. 1 player was knocked, but they get the revive. Now, 4 a.m. sandwiched between 3 different teams. We have Nongshim Red, which is still alive, Genesis Dogma, which hasn't been fully finished out with, and the scary 4-man team of Geek Fam with 6 eliminations on the north side of things. Train to Kill now getting very aggressive, taking the fight to IHC, taking IHC out. There's still the Falcon team on the north end, and FaZe get the zone with his new... do they get the zone? Maybe just the very edge of zone. but things are getting more and more crunched in. Furious Gaming from the southeast, they're going to have to make a play. They have 4 up. This is the next big team to watch out for.
FaZe didn't get the zone. Very few people actually got that zone. Falcons, they've been holding on strong. They picked up those 4 eliminations. FaZe now needing to move on in. As we said, they have to let go of those compounds. It's no longer a good option for them. And now they're left in the open here right alongside Falcons, who are raining on high with that engagement against Train to Kill and IHC. This is a good opportunity. Yusuf going to be spotting out at least one member. A few bits of damage is going to be sent on through. But Ventores could be the determining factor here. From the back line, getting a good knock, a good flanking opportunity. They can back up their teammates.
Tony K, no nades, unfortunately for him. That could have been the one to open up this fight. He does have smokes, though, so he's smoking out the sight lines of the Falcon players. This is a dance back and forth. Falcon with the defensive advantage, a lot of different ridge lines to work with. That means multiple angles for FaZe to worry about as far as heads peeking out and getting shot at. FaZe trying to find some sort of opening here. Utils are coming out. And here comes a push by Furious Gaming. They're the other 4-man team that needs to make a push, and they push right into 4AM, getting a run over. This is massive. This could be huge for Geek Fam to third party. Actually 4AM getting cut down, it looks like. Okay, Furious Gaming gets taken out, but 4AM have 2 players knocked. That should be Geek Fam's cue to third party and push in. Are they doing so? FaZe, on the other hand, on the north side, trying to make a play happen. They push up. 2 of FaZe are knocked, I believe. 2 of Falcon are also down. Actually, it all comes down to Lycan here. Can he get the clutch? 1v2, UMP down to the last few shots, and Falcon will mount a successful defense on the north end and get the full reset. 4AM, meanwhile, they got a full reset themselves. Geek Fam did not decide to push in the midst of all that chaos.
Geek Fam, they were gifted that potential for a reset yesterday. Now they've done exactly that. They've gifted 4 angry men that reset, not jumping into that opportunity. That might be a mistake that's going to cost them later on. We said Ventores might have been the determining factor here for FaZe, and unfortunately just not finding that connection. FaZe goes out, but Train to Kill, I mean, they are neighbors to all of this chaos. They know exactly what's happening. They've been keeping an eye out on Falcons, and now they have a present in the form of a couple of grenades that will be sent on through. 2 down. Up here to Demar, trying to close that line. Never alone, a little bit more towards the back end line. But Train to Kill, moving in for the kill. They're not going to be finding the hit. Falcons down to only 1 as Sandesh is right around the corner.
4AM though.
There to back them up. No way.
No way 4AM sniffs out this third-party opportunity under the pressure of Geek. It might actually bite them in the butt because Snipes gets a knock onto one of the 4AM players. Train to Kill with a really good opening double knock and a play to go aggressive. Hopefully it rewards them, and it does. Rig gets the finish on it. That was a 2v4. 4AM. Yeah, they try to make a play. I think they want to swing north and play from the north down, but that was a costly mistake. Most of the players getting caught out on rotation. 4AM cut down to just a solo. Geek Fam playing this low and slow will be rewarded. Not third-party 4AM later, leaving 4AM to make the mistake. They get a knock back here, but Spawn is the last one up. However, I think 4AM has the edge of zone and Geek doesn't. And there's a chance that Geek Fam, if they have to leave that compound on the next circle, Train to Kill will be able to help out Savan here.
Can't forget about Akashi. There it is. Rig going to be actually spotting them out. Akashi trying to move on just a little bit too soon, exposing their position. Those smokes will be popped. Everyone knows what's happening on that front of things. Rig just applying the pressure, but no! Damn rude with the nade of a lifetime, finding that connection, and now looking to close out this gap between themselves and Savan. Mika can be pushing on up. Mika, absolutely emphatic player to try and take a 1v1 up against it. They do have the backup of their team. Will Savan be able to get the spray down? They get a Rig around, and Rig will move on in for the third party.
Yeah, there we go. There's that help that 4AM wanted. Unfortunately, the help was onto the backside of bullets that he soaked in from Train to Kill. Now Train to Kill in a 2v3 situation. They have the advantage of the high ground. They need to get Snipes down. That's an opening that they need to take, and they do. Now they bring it back down to a 2v2. Circle's going to close up on Train to Kill as well. Geek Fam's going to have to push out. Yuhai or Darude, or Damn Rude, needs to get a sick knock while running in the open. It is very easily doable. They just need to pre-aim on the right correct peek. Oh, nades coming in from Train to Kill, also softening Geek Fam up just a little bit. The blue zone is slowly closing in, and if any team could pull this off, it would be Geek Fam. Here comes the shimmies left and right, pre-fires back and forth. Train to Kill, massive damage onto them, but they get a knock. Sandesh with the double peek from his teammate, and that's Train to Kill with a great celebratory victory. Train to Kill, they were a team that was, I would say, relatively safe in the survival stage bubble. But with that win at this point in the game, with 4 more games left to go, they could be looking at a top 3 finish still if they start cleaning things up even tighter.
Coming into this game, they were sitting in 8th position with 154 points. But man, what an opportunity. Rig was just so quick with those third-party opportunities. And what's even greater for Rig and the side of Train to Kill in that final engagement, not only did they have a better zone, they had a better angle on towards, Geek Fam making that rotation line in. But Geek Fam, lack of utilities, man. They were taking that engagement before Angry Men. They were trying to smoke them on up. They were trying to take on the likes of Game Laws. They were taking on so many engagement back to back that they did not have the utilities to give themselves an edge into that final moment. No opportunity for smokes, no opportunity for nades. They had nothing.
Yeah, nothing indeed. Train to Kill. What a beautiful victory for them. This is what I want to see. Teams need to play more aggressive. It was a 2v4. They capitalized off the double knock, and that secured them the north side, which ultimately secured them a massive chicken dinner.
Trained to Kill gets the chicken dinner in the first Miramar match today. 28 total points there, not to mention, the 2 squads at the top still fighting it out towards the end. They're going to pull in 2nd and 3rd place. Oh man, the plot is starting to really thicken here, 7.
Those 13 eliminations are going to be massive because Reject only got 3 points. And then on top of that, Glitter, Geek Fam, and 4 Angry Men, these teams want to keep their placement here. First place and 2nd place, if they're going to continue like this, those placements are going to be pretty much secure in the next couple games.
And this is literally what we said was going to happen because of how close the points were for our entire middle of the pack. Now, the top performers here, we get a little bit of everything. Okay, we've got Rig up here with the 9 elims at almost 1k damage. Some really solid efficiency and conversion there with that for almost 50% of the team's contribution. And then moving down the list, though, we've got a little bit more of the people that we recognize. Once again, Genesis Dogma up here, and then 2 from Geek Fam. Now, Geek Fam has not turned off their aggression yet, and they're continuing to create a cushion for themselves. But if anybody in the middle does well, like T2K just did, they are shooting up the leaderboard. Someone should be worried.
So many teams are worried, and one team that is especially worried, it's got to be GK. They busted out a donut in that last match, so they got to be feeling devastated right now. But we got a lot to talk about, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. And we're back, everybody. Oh, goodness. The plot is really starting to thicken out here. Things are getting intense. There's only 4 more matches left to go for these teams to be able to let their dreams come true. Of course, none of this would be possible without the official smartphone here for PMGC. Sony, with their Xperia 1.4 and Xperia Stream, created in collaboration with professional esports players. You guys can play PUBG Mobile in 90 Hz with Xperia Stream's multiple ports and total cooling system for intensive gaming and streaming. Also gotta go show some love to the official platinum sponsor here for this. This is going to be Prime Gaming. That's right, guys. They got some exclusive benefits you guys can check out. Also, you guys can get some exclusive in-game PUBG Mobile content. So go check out Prime Gaming today. Alrighty, now it's about that time. Okay, where did these teams shake up on the leaderboards as we take a look at the first page? I know you guys have goosebumps here. It's gonna be Train to Kill, passing up Rejects by just 1 point.
We talked about it, Glitter. It can come down to 1 point, and T2K is currently showing it, being able to have 182 points in Reject. I'll talk about them a little bit later, but I'm just not happy with the way they were able to play on that Miramar map. They are currently in 4th place. You do see IHC going down there. Luckily for T2K and Reject, Glitter, they're starting to create a bit of a cushion there between 5th and 8th. They gotta wake up.
I mean, you say that, and then for all we know, someone's going to show up at Sandhawk and then completely knock that out. But this is another big jump. I'm not even looking at 9, 10, and 11 right now. Yes, Game Lord jumps up a little bit. I'm looking at 12 and 13 because Genesis Dogma Gids has now jumped above D Xavier, who's been non-existent right now. This puts them 4 points behind Genesis Dogma Gids and Vivo Keed. Also, wildly quiet, and now only 6 points ahead. That is 0 cushion. They could do that in elims, especially with Sandhawk. This is just chaos.
Oh, it's absolute chaos. Not to mention, D Xavier busting out another donut here in this last match here. So that silence is going to have to change up big time because we're heading on jungle, baby, where it is hot, it is thick, and it is intense. So, Devin, as we go into the jungle here, who are your teams to watch?
Geek Fam. First of all, they've been absolutely dominating.
Okay.
Genesis Dom gets because they've been averaging a 4th place finish in Sandhawk. So they might not be able to get it in elims, but they might be able to get it in placements. And then, Reject. You know what?
Oh,
Glitter, take it. I don't want to burn them just yet. I want to see how they do.
Listen, we agree on a lot of these things right now. For me, Genesis Dogma Gids as well, but also D Xavier, because now these two have their own battle going on right outside of that 11th place bubble. I want to see which one of them does better on Sandhawk. And then, like you said, Reject, you don't want to say it. That was not great.
इस बार फाइनल के लिए सिलेक्ट हो जाएगा भाई इस बार कौन सी मैच फाइनल में सिलेक्ट होगा तो कमेंट सेक्शन में बता दो भाई
I'm gonna keep a close eye on GK FaZe Clan. They already have a heck of a point gap. They gotta close it right here, right now, if they want a chance at the top 3. It's Sandhawk, everybody get hype. It's time to go ahead and bring it on over
भाई
to our
कैंपिंग बाजी इस बार गेम खेलेगा भाई साहब बहुत सारे मिलेगा इस बार तो
man, eat my words. I was saying Train to Kill, they're safe in the survival group. Maybe with that win they could, with 4 games left, make it into the top 3, but they are already in the top 3. They knock out the Rejects by 1 singular point, and we're only going to heat things up more now, starting with this Sandhawk game that we're going to jump into.
Man, it is heating up. Here it is. We are jumping from chaos to chaos. We said it's going to come down to the wire. Already, we're talking about a different top 3. We're talking about 3 teams that might have just secured themselves an opportunity to miss out on a very scary survival stage. A very, very threatening group of teams that are looking to take them out of this competition completely. Train to Kill, that was gorgeous. Now they are, we have to keep in mind, only 1 point up ahead of the Rejects. So there's a very close and contentious battle that they can bring forward in a map like Sandhawk, a map that, I mean, we've been talking about the chances of so many teams that are right alongside each other, finding each other on a map like Miramar. Now with Sandhawk, now with half of the space available, I mean, those chances are just looking even better.
Yeah, I don't know if the analyst desk is able to pull up this the stats or maybe make a graphic for this, and it might not even matter after this game. But between Train to Kill and Rejects, which team is more consistent? Now, obviously, point average-wise, they're basically right next to each other. But point variance, right? Do Rejects get bigger upswings and bigger downswings? Or is Train to Kill more in the middle, like averaging overall a little bit better, like less variance? Because that might play into effect, you know, like who punches out the next four consistent enough games to stay ahead of one another. Now, that's within the confines of those two teams. There's still teams below Rejects, IHC, FaZe, GK, Tem Entertainment that could do what Train to Kill just did. Another team that breaks into the top 3. But so much going on right now. And then, of course, Geek Fam just keeps pulling ahead of the second place team of 4 Angry Men.
तो comment section में होता T2K, FaZe Clan, IC, बस सब लोग तो वो पास में ही है.
On the last day, they are back to the form of old, bringing in
TMB भाई fast बगल में आ गए भाई साहब.
So, and the fact is, you know, we talked about it off camera, that they're not getting punished significantly enough to the fact that they're going to change the strategy. They are not getting forced into a different scenario. They are not getting forced into making these off-the-cuff decisions, which we saw Rejects having to do on Miramar. They had to suddenly take a much less covered position on Miramar because they were being forced out by 1 to 2 teams.
Yeah.
So, Geek Fam not feeling that pressure. They get to just play their game. They're not forced into someone else's game and forced to make some very tough decisions.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, they play their game. They fight their way in. I mean, we saw Geek Fam, right? They ended up in the position that Rejects were in. Rejects were in that dip. Rejects were forced to vacate that dip. Geek Fam went into the same exact dip, but Geek Fam made it work. There's the difference there, right? Sure, the circle shifted, you know, a little bit different in ways where Geek Fam can be on the outside of the dip, on the high ground, and then going into the dip and everything. So that does make a huge difference in overall how the game played out. But still, it doesn't change the fact that Geek Fam went aggressive and slammed the compound, whereas the Rejects, they did get knocked down to 3, which did have an impact on how they wanted to approach, you know, their next rotation. But there's a clear difference. Geek Fam, a way more aggressive team. They're not the team with 4 or with 3 players even to, you know, try and just make it to a shack. They'll take the gamble, they'll take the risk, and crash a compound. And it worked out for Geek Fam in that particular situation. This circle is a very northwestern circle, by the way, as proxy. We are going to see more than likely a northwestern island finish for this Sandhawk game, which is going to change things up a lot. It works out for the region, so they will get center position at the trifecta compound, or even taking center position on the northwestern island to start off this match.
Damage.
It's actually interesting that you brought up the way in which, you know, Geek Fam and Rejects would approach that same crash site, approach that same, you know, compound. We saw Rejects heading into Genesis Dogma. They only sent in, I believe it was 2 out of the 3 players they had available in that last finish. They left 1 behind, and because of that, maybe there's something to go for a statement that because they left that 1 player, because they were focusing on that safety net into the next placement, it might have hindered them from winning out that compound into Genesis Dogma. If they won that compound out from Genesis Dogma, then we could have been talking about, you know, Rejects. We could have been talking about them moving it in. Whereas Geek Fam, they head up against 4 angry men with all of their players that they had available. Like a much, if you were talking about the overall rankings, a much more difficult opponent to take on, and that's why they brought more of their numbers. But also they do that with nearly every single engagement. They do not have a safety net. They go full in with full confidence, hoping and winning, and just that's why they haven't been punished.
Definitely so. Very two distinct play styles between these top teams, Geek Fam and Rejects. Now, you mentioned this a lot. Geek Fam simply has not been punished. There's a good, you know, chance that in a tougher lobby with even stronger teams, Geek Fam's playstyle would drop them below the Rejects, right? Because they get into more engagements, but they can't, you know, they run into bigger fish, which, you know, not saying Geek Fam will lose, but Geek Fam might, you know, be losing players instead of being able to keep all 4 up the whole entire time. And then a team that's a bit more calculated and safe, over a course of 18 games like Rejects might actually end up in higher points. So this does not mean, Geek Fam is outright better than the Rejects. There's a lot of different variants and factors that goes in, but the main thing I'm highlighting is the 2 different play styles and how it might be impacted depending on, the level of the lobby. Now, we see Game Lord here making a huge wrapping rotation from the north with a botation. Yeah, definitely a good idea because a lot of the bridges right now being camped or occupied, or you don't even want to risk trying to take the bridge. 4AM, though, they are going to take that bridge and shoot right across. The Xavier was there doing some sort of, I don't know. Yeah, like we have three players of D Xavier at the bridge, but
I didn't see damage.
Yeah.
I didn't see any shots being taken. I didn't see any aggression towards 4 Angry Men. So yes, they're there, but maybe they're just laying low for the time being. Vivo Key, they were trying to do something similar, and now they might be awarded with a bit of damage or maybe even an elimination onto Falcons. So maybe information was the play for the Xavier.
Whoa, what's up?
Goodbye.
Yep.
Goodbye, Tata, bye bye, 4AM के बंदे यार भाई सब.
Xavier's positioning. That is a bridge camp if I've ever
क्या
seen
किक के बंदे
it,
गया?
they didn't really take any shots. Geek Fam, whoa, rotating in hard from Ruins, sweeping up the western edge.
खराब खेलने से हो जाएगा
the team that took the botation.
फाइनल का सिलेक्ट हो गया.
Geek Fam was not expecting a team up here, nor did anyone expect Game Lord to rotate from Cow with a boat up to here and take this position. No amount of VOD review would have prepped Geek Fam for running into a team over there. So
GLD.
I would say unfortunate for Geek Fam losing a player there. 4AM also lost a player, but they did one of those calculated risk rotations, which did end up costing them 1 player. But they find themselves in a very central position. Let's hope for them. They're definitely hoping that the circle shifts a little bit to the east and not uphill to the likes of Keed and the Rejects.
Very, very interesting situation these teams have to deal with. But we'll see, maybe it might pay off of the likes of Vivo Keed. It all depends on who you're rooting for into this final day of the group stages. Ultimately, though, most of the teams will obviously be heading over into this part of the island. This Camp Alpha region is going to get stacked quite soon because, well, there's a very good chance that we're going to be seeing that zone heading to this direction. Although, maybe an opportunity for a little bit of swing, maybe a little bit of opportunity for Sandhawk to finally be the ridiculous zone game. We've been talking about it. Sandhawk has been one of our more normal maps.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about the zones and the ways that they've been shifting.
Yeah, surprisingly, Sandhawk has been more regular in terms of the way the fights have been breaking out compared to our crazy zone shifts. 4AM once again doing a really wild, crazy rotation. We didn't get a chance to see where the circle shifted, but man, I'm guessing it shifted off of them.
पीछे से आरसी के बंदे भी यार भाई नीचे.
Is my map feed delayed? Okay. Yeah,
it had to camp out.
Exactly, आरसी के बंदे तो
okay, I see. Yeah, the circle didn't even shift that hard off of 4AM, but 4AM, they're going to continue taking these risky rotations, and it is definitely punishing them now.
Ooh.
Yeah, running into way too many teams. 4AM starting getting cut apart. Only 1 player made the mad dash to a center compound. Let's see if it works out for them, because they have rotated past the mountaintop, past 3 different teams, and only managed to keep 1 alive. That in the form of Savan right there. Right in the middle. IHC pushing on up onto the Rejects. Rejects mounting a strong defense will cut down 2 of the IHC players instantly. I'm loving the way Rejects are playing the split, by the way. They're doing a 3-1 split. They're not putting all 4 up here. They have 1 linchpin on the low ground that is now coming up to help after he secured himself a solo down as well. Rejects pumping up the elimination points here and playing a bit more riskier, quote-unquote, with that 3-1 split in the initial beginning.
I like it though, just the change up, and it's really working for them in a group like this. We talk about the different play styles and the stage at which you find yourself. That's why we see the substitutions from these teams. That's why they've had to change their game plan, because so much adaptation has come through from the rest of the teams, and they've pretty much had to change their tactics. Now, FaZe, hello, finding out that Vivo Keed made such a big rotation up onto the high ground. Tony K just a matter of moments away from being taken on out. Don't think they will be able to get on out. Yep, there it is. And FaZe now reduced officially down to only 3. But look at this, there is at least one player from FaZe making that rotation in, trying to get that close-up angle. I can maybe an opportunity here to take out one, but they have to choose their time.
Vivo Keed in a good position here to rack up a lot of points. They need it right now. They're in 11th place. Pretty much right on the edge.
We'll
shift back onto them though, because if it drops off this high ground, they're going to have to push downhill, which gets very difficult to do so. Meanwhile, on the everywhere else, teams are, making their botations in. They're trying to swim in. We saw a team go out completely, which was Besiktas out in the water, getting spotted out with their botation by Train to Kill. Genesis Dogman Gids all the way in the blue zone on the far southwest doing a botation. The only teams not yet on this island are Train to Kill, Furious Gaming, and Tem Entertainment. So they still got to make their way in. None of the bridges are being camped, though, so they do have a open crossing if they do elect to do so.
We saw DX Xavier just up ahead of Nongshim Red Force. They've been reduced down to only 2. So it's not looking too great for them. Also wanted to see a little bit more from Besiktas, so it is a shame. But look at this. Vivo Keed will be blessed. They still have that high ground. They're not really that close to one another in terms of like a duo fight, but they have FaZe locked down. FaZe really can't make a move in the meantime. Game Lords, we talked about that rotation early on. I am loving this. They're bringing in that 2-2 split. They're picking up some great eliminations, and they're asserting dominance coming through from that northwestern side. If they can continue, this is really going to be a difficult situation for Train to Kill to hold on.
Oh man, 4 a.m. If they just stayed put as a 3 way earlier, they'd still have this zone, and now the zone is kind of like shifting back towards where they were. Meanwhile, Rejects, beautiful first initial rotation, picking a strong position on the map, gets them 4 eliminations, and they keep 4 up. Rejects back into the top 3 with a very strong position. They might be knocking 4 a.m. down to 3rd place by the end of this game.
On Train to Kill, like we were talking about, the team that Rejects were chasing after, all of a sudden on the back line, Rick trying to keep it up, trying to stay alive up against the likes of Game Lords, but the numbers just aren't there to back it up. Now they've been reduced down to 2, so this is a massive opportunity, not only for Rejects to obviously close that gap, which they've already basically done, but then to give them that safety net as we move into the halfway marker of today. After this map, if they have that opportunity, that lead, and they can just stay somewhat consistent, they are looking at a secured spot into the top 3.
Yeah, all the teams looking to knock Rejects out of the top 3 are all hurt. Train to Kill down to 2, IHC down to 1, FaZe down to 3, dropping even further below GK. I mean, GK has 4, but GK sitting at 160 to the 181 of Rejects. So this is a really good game for the Rejects, not for their own performance, but for the ill performance of all the teams below them.
Again, the timing. What is the chances that as soon as Rejects just step it on up, it is just going absolutely swimmingly for them? Game Lords, been impressed with their rotation, not too great in terms of the split that they're currently working with, because, well, we did see one get caught up, and that's why. That is why they focus a split here, Zute. Geek Fam have moved on in for the kill.
Geek Fam 3v3 on top of the hill. Game Lord took one of Geek Fam down way earlier unexpectedly for the side of Geek Fam, but now they're back at it again. Nongshim, this is what Nongshim Red Force needs to do. They need to pick up all the eliminations they can. They're up to 4 already. They lose the zone. It's going to be a tough task for them to make it down this hill. Geek Fam, we don't usually see them turn away from fights, but even then, they're smart enough to know when to leave. And Geek Fam is out of there, leaving Game Lords to deal with Nongshim Red Force, and it is not looking good. Nongshim Red Force comes in, 7 elimination points. They're going to need a chicken dinner and way more, though, if they want to break into the survival stage.
You know, this is the beauty of a team like Nongshim Red Force. We were talking about those teams that literally have nothing to lose. At this point in time, Nongshim Red Force, they're so far behind, but at the very least, they are crippling the likes of our top teams. They are crippling the likes of Geek Fam. They are hurting the Game Lords completely as they set back into the lobby. Genesis Dogma now, a team that has finally closed that gap, also feeling the brunt of the action. So this is a massive opportunity for them. I want to see more of it. Bring it in again. Look, it's a lot of points they have to catch up. They really have a tall order in front of them. But hey, it could be just so good in the last day to make that push.
Circle has closed down more on top of the mountain. Vivo Key looking nice. All the teams on the edge having to come in. This by now it's a lot of scrap fighting. No real four-man teams are able to fight their way in. GK comes in with 4 though. On to the last member, that is Savan. Savan is trying to hide in a nook, hide in a cranny, but he's forced to make his moves. He's gonna get sideswept from the other side potentially. Yeah, GK with 4 people all looking towards Savan's direction. Savan backs off. Doesn't want to create too much attention. He's going to go back into that little cranny he's been hiding in. But one well-placed nade, and Gaith, well, he's got 3 of those. Should find Savan dead. Savan popping out of the smoke, knowing he's about to get naded. Tries to make it across the corner, and that is for a... out with any... Did they get any points? No. No points whatsoever. Passing up Rejects, but just for now, Rejects still have 4 players up in a strong dominant position. As I was saying, they took that gamble, did not pay off, but it was a tough zone to navigate. Rejects looking to shoot their way up to 2nd place now, potentially. IC last one up for IHC. Defends a push against Genesis Dogma. IC needs to come up huge, and the 3rd party from distance will finish off Genesis Dogma. We'll get another point, and the circle brings it a little bit closer to the northern side now.
IC continues to live just for a little while longer, but again, Vivo Key, that prime positioning, that early rotation onto the high ground might be the determining factor. We at least have GK trying to close that gap, getting closer and closer to that level of elevation, but they still have a long way to go to take that engagement with Vivo Key. Furious Gaming, a team just like Nongshim Red Force that have been so hurt these last couple of days, looking to step one up. They found that first elimination, but they will be up against the likes of what I believe will be either Rejects or GK. That is not going to be an easy fight. We can see GK already spotting them out on their rotation, and this 2-2 split really not going to help them in any sort of sense because, well, they've been reduced down to 2 almost immediately, and now reduced down to potentially only 1.
Ooh, good nade by GK. Gets a knock on to the top side of Rejects. They should be able to get that revive unless another miracle nade pops out. Rejects making a nice rotation into zone right there. Loving that adjustment. They'll put themselves onto the high ground. And the high ground is like 60-70% of the zone. They should be fine. It shouldn't shift off, dropping down into the lower areas where GK is. GK losing a player. Satan goes down. Furious Gaming. They've been cut down to 2 players, and they still need to push in. And they have the full team of Rejects, GK, and Vivo Key on the top side looking down on top of them. It's not looking good for the Furious Gaming team right now. This team in 15th place, not able to get much done so far.
Again, we're talking about the possibility here for Rejects. They are one of the very few teams, basically only 3 teams that still have all 4 of their players left. But in terms of the teams in the top 8, even up to the top, 10, they are the only team that have 4 players alive. So please do not lose out on anyone right now with Furious Gaming moving on in. They need this game more than they know. Train to Kill still on the heels with the amount of eliminations. And IC, how, again, we were talking about IC just going down, not making sure that they're getting placements. And again, just the survivor for IHC.
Oh, wait up.
Rejects is still pumping up and up. Next zone pops out. It's a good zone for Rejects. They have a way to fight into this. Well, they don't even need to fight into this. They could just walk their way into zone with 4 players up still also. GK needs to get a revive on 1. GK, they're probably going to elect to just take the low ground here, forcing them into Nongshim Red Force. Nongshim Red Force, by the way, they have 4, and they can wrap around the top and make it to the high ground and come into the late game and potentially be a team to win this match too.
Ooh.
So we can't count on Nongshim Red Force even though they're last place. FaZe taken out by Vivo Keed. FaZe slowly but surely made their way up there, cut down 2 of the Vivo Keed members that was holding the high ground with all 4. So Vivo Keed massively hurt, but they will stay alive. And finally, Icy gets taken out, and here comes Nongshim Red Force in full force with 4.
Train to kill Jane. Look at what they have to work with. Only a nade and the weapons in their hands. So they don't even have an opportunity to remit, to get their HP bars up. That zone is going to be coming on in. And if they want to push on forward, if they want to get themselves into safety, they have to expose themselves to Nongshim Red Force. So right now, they're just going to be hunched down and waiting for some options. No real other options. We've got a full team of Nongshim Red Force to the north. We've got the full team of Rejects to the south. As Vivo Keed now look for an opportunity to alleviate some of this pressure. Diego will be sending out a few of those potential nades, waiting for some confirmation. Sporter will be reduced down to a sliver of HP as Snipes goes down. Geek, goodbye.
In 7th place, they'll rack up just a couple of placement points with that one. 0 eliminations. This has been a tough game for a lot of the teams in the top of the leaderboards, but not for Rejects. Rejects looking to really cement themselves here in the top 3 position. Maybe just putting them in striking distance of 1st place, especially with Geek Fam getting 0. This is the first game in a long time that Geek Fam has quote-unquote dropped the ball, picking up 0 eliminations. Rejects keep on moving up. Pretty much everyone is in zone here. One of Rejects goes down. That should be an easy revive. However, scraps are being finished up. Train to kill. Massive chicken dinner for them last game. They'll pick up a couple of points, but that is off of the backs of the Rejects still staying alive with 4.
Nongshim Red Force still feeling the pressure. We had that initial nade, but they've recovered since then. Now Vivo Keed still applying the pressure. GK Esports moving on in. I don't think they're going to have time to get into the zone. Yeah. No, that blue zone is so devastating. So we still have Ragnar available. We still have them in this, but they don't have an easy rotation in. This terrain has just been absolutely devastating. Rejects now closing on the gap, getting closer to Nongshim Red Force, but right in front of Vivo Keed.
This is going to be a 4-way fight. Vivo Keed on the high ground, able to third-party everything. Rejects, they don't want to make the first move because Nongshim Red might come in. It's a standoff. And I don't think the Rejects are expecting another 4-man team. I mean, this is Sandhawk ending up on the high ground. The chances of a team keeping all 4 up into this type of zone this late into the game is very rare. So Rejects might have a surprise in on them once they go against the 4-man team of Nongshim Red Force. Now, Nongshim Red Force, yes, they're last place. They're definitely one of the weaker teams in the lobby. But we've seen when it comes to engagements, they can pack a punch too. So can't count them out. Plus, Rejects might get third party by Falcon, the last player up.
Falcon holding on the line, looking for a little bit of an option here. Rejects, they should be spotting out a bit of information now as Nongshim Red Force is going to be forced on up. Vivo Keed still holding up for the line, looking for an opportunity. Slowly but surely, these nades will be running out. That utility will be gone, and then it has to come down to the shot. Sports are going to be finding the first angle here onto Rejects. Bit more information to work with that has to be communicated to the team. If they let Rejects go, if they give them enough time, it could be their end.
Oh, Nongshim Red's going to take the high ground instead. That'll let Rejects get that revive. Yes. Only one player of Nongshim gets knocked, which is really good for them. Now Rejects trying to come in with the third part. Falcon never alone. It's still alive. He's going to spring up and steal some points. Rejects down to just Duelo just like that. They are cut down. Nongshim Red Force with the chicken dinner.
Let's go.
I mean, they still got a mountain and a half to climb, but they climbed their first mountain in the form of a Sandhawk because they quite literally climbed that mountain and took the chicken dinner. Rejects get swept under. They were looking so strong, but hey, Rejects, they picked up a lot of eliminations along the way. That could have been a big win for them, keeping all 4 up into the late game. It just did not play out well for them, however.
Look, I am always, till the day I go down, I will always be there for a Dark Horse story. I will always be there for that team rising up at the end, at the very least to be a thorn in everyone else's side. Nongshim Red Force taking Sandhawk and saying it was going to be theirs from the beginning. A beautiful showing from them, taking 4 into that final fight and then continuing with that clinical execution. Again, we can't take anything away from Falcons. They were the key factor. If Falcons was not there, if Never Alone was not there with that ridiculous nade, mind you, only 3 nades were thrown, one of which took 2 rejects players down.
Oh, I missed that. Is that what happened to rejects?
Yes!
Oh, man. I just thought rejects got cut down, but okay, Falcons. Wow, what a game. And what a comeback, a potential comeback story now for Nongshim Red Force. They have a chance to make it into the survival stage now, especially after a massive chicken dinner on Sandhawk.
What?
What?
What? Like, what is going on here? Okay, all right. The team in last place on the last day saying, hey, we came to play, baby. 28 total points to their score. Okay, enough talking about them. Rejects getting 17 points as well. Falcon getting 17 points as well. I don't know what is happening. 7, please explain it to me.
By the way, we called this at the beginning of the show. We said Nongshim Red
did.
Force. If you rewind, I said it perfectly. They need to watch out for this. And they're going to be able to steal those extra points for teams that actually need it. That are in that fight for 3rd place. That are in that fight for 11th place as well. I mean, look, QX being able to put up this kind of stats, Glitter, like, what's going on today?
Listen, the bottom teams, Falcon and Nongshim Red Force, did a fantastic job of utilizing Sandhawk for what Sandhawk is. This is always the #1 opportunity for anyone to kind of make crazy plays, get some points on the board because of how the gameplay just naturally functions on this map. Now, still though, we also get to talk about Reject, and this is kind of huge because this was a game where Geek Fam didn't do well, where 4 Angry Men didn't do well, and Reject was able to stay in the game all the way to the end. They might not have closed it out for the chicken dinner, but not only did they do well when the 2 people above them did well, they also did better than T2K. So they did a couple things right, and we had asked them to bounce back, 7.
Vivo Keed, by the way, Vivo Keed surprised me a lot with those 14 points. That was a team that struggled in the last Myanmar. We were wondering if they were going to maybe drop off from those top 11 since Genesis Dogma Gids was stepping up their gameplay, was looking to hunt them down. So for them to be able to get those 14 points, that was massive.
I mean, the crazy part is that we talked about this multiple times, right? Just how much when the last day, when you've got nothing to lose, those teams all of a sudden just start letting loose, start playing like the way they've been playing, right? And Nongshim Red Force proved it right there. I didn't think they was going to get 1st place, right, at chicken dinner. But hey, that just goes to show you just how much that factor comes into play. Hopefully that kind of just gives them a little bit of an uptick, you know, to where they can just say to themselves, hey, you know, we showed up, we got a chicken dinner against these squads, you know, regardless if we make it or not, hey, we got something to look forward to next year. So much to still going on right here. Reject getting in those big points. I mean, I can't stress it enough how important that is. We only got 3 games left to go, but we do have an interview for everybody out there right now. I hope you guys are really excited for Genesis, Dogma Gids, and Tash Bunny. I can't wait to see what they're gonna say next. Let's go ahead and take it on over to them.
We are now here on the halfway mark of the final day of the PMGC Group Yellow. And this is where things and the pressure cooker moments matter. With me, I have GD, GID, we have Booms over here. How are you feeling right now?
Gimana perasaannya sekarang?
Biasa aja sih.
Well, just so.
Wow, he's just so right now, and I think he's just feeling really good. So, for now, my question is, how do you feel about the game today? Is there a big difference between the results and your expectations from the game just now?
Apa sih yang kamu rasakan dengan pertandingan pada hari ini? Ada nggak perbedaan antara hasil dengan harapan yang kamu punya?
Yang aku rasain sih nggak ada perasaan apa-apa. Fokus the game sama fokus tim. Itu dah.
There's no specific feeling that I have, so we are just focusing on the game and also we are focusing on the team, that's all.
All right, keeping it very simple and just keeping it very objective. What do you think your team is doing well right now, and what do you think needs to be improved for your team?
Apa yang kamu rasakan sudah ada perbaikan ataupun kemajuan yang kalian lakukan di tim?
Untuk gameplay sih nggak ada perbedaan sama sekali. Cuma lebih meningkatkan kepedean dan targetnya biar masuk survival stage.
Actually, for the gameplay, just the same thing, but then we are just getting more confidence, so hopefully we can make it for today.
Excuse me, so my final question for you is, how confident are you feeling right now?
Seberapa percaya diri kamu sekarang?
1000%.
1000%, I understood that. And now, before we go into game number 4, wish your fans at home good luck, and everyone grab your popcorn because we want to know who exactly will be crowned the champions for Group Yellow.
Realize, okay, top 3 is not going to happen. But hey, you know what? Who knows where they can end up on the leaderboards at the end of this? Of course, I hope you guys are excited and ready. We got to give a big shout out to our hotel partner for the PMGC. That's Pullman, Kuala Lumpur, Bangsar. Our world is your playground. Also, got to give a big thank you to our platinum sponsor here for the show, and that is Prime Gaming. All kinds of exclusive benefits, guys. You guys can go check them out. You can also get some nice in-game rewards, PUBG Mobile rewards, so go check them out as soon as you possibly can. All right, now that we got the business out the way, it's time to get to some more business. That's right, it's coming. The overall leaderboards. Where has everybody sitting after match number 3 that Sandhawk won? Reject are back. Train to kill. This is going to be a battle. An absolute battle.
We knew that after that performance, Reject was going to bounce back, okay? And I even pointed out, T2K didn't do as hot, so now Reject has a 7-point cushion. That's nothing, like you're saying, Juice. That's absolutely nothing, okay? T2K can instantly jump right back above that if they want to. And then, like you had mentioned earlier, Stefan, that's where the points start to separate just a tad, but a chicken dinner will close it right back down. And now the overall ranking here on the second page, a little bit of a cushion now for Game Lord, I guess?
I would say 13 points. You know what, for that 11th place, I would say, yeah, that is a bit of a cushion. That's a little bit harder for some of these teams to actually get those points. bgmi being able to jump over Game Lord again, you love to see that. Now, I do have to call out Besiktas Esports. This team has not been doing anything, and if they continue with that trend, I'm going to end up seeing Game Lord, I'm going to end up seeing bgmi, and possibly Genesis Dogma gets passing them on the leaderboard. And you don't want to put yourself in that position, Glitter, especially when there's only 3 matches left.
No, and they don't have the chaos of Sandhawk anymore to try to have some sort of a pop-off moment. Now we are back on the tried and true maps. We're checking out the drops here for Erangel. Now, do you have any expectations for this one, Seven?
I'm hoping, I just talked about them, I'm going to talk about them again. Besiktas, please get more than just 1 point. That's what you guys have been able to get today. You got to do better if you continue
want them
on this
to hot
trend.
drop. Just say it. Just say it.
No.
That's a 7.
No.
Yeah.
Don't
We
do it,
know
don't
what
do
you
it.
really want. Okay. All right. You know what? And I'll be that, so you stay there, I got a chance guy. All right. When it comes to teams like, Besiktas, those, bgmi, technically, they could still make it into top 3. And the reason why I'm saying that is there is a chance they have to win 3 games in a row, right? But if I'm in the game, if I'm there with my team, I am going for that strategy. I am going to try to get top 3 because honestly, for me, it's top 3 or nothing. Glitter, what do you think about that as you take your look at your teams to watch?
Okay, obviously Seven and I are just on the same wavelength here today. Reject and T2K. Right now, they are the two teams that I think we're going to be watching for that top 3 battle back and forth. And every single time one of those teams does well, the other one has to match it. Otherwise, it's just going to throw them completely off when it comes to the points. And then Genesis, Dogma, Gids. I think they're still in the running when it comes to making their way into that top 11. And I want to see them get some serious points on the board of the next match, Seven.
And that's why I picked Vivo Kid, because Genesis Dogma Gates, it's trying to catch up Vivo Kid. Vivo Kid needs to be able to do something. And with Reject, I want to see something completely different than what we saw in the early and area goal. It kind of worked out for them, but I don't think it's going to cut it if they want to actually maintain that third place.
Well, let's find out right now. 3 more matches left to go. I'm going to ask Zute, what would you do in this situation if you know that you need to win 3 games in a row to get top 3? Do you go for it? You tell us as we send it on over to you.
Winning 3 games in a row to get top 3. I don't know. I mean, this lobby, that's a tough ask. And that's winning 3 games in a row, assuming the other teams in the top 3 don't get like a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th place finish with eliminations. Like, yeah, go for it. Why not? As long as you're safe in that survival stage bubble, right? If you're not like going all out and then just getting eliminated first, and then going all out again and getting eliminated first, and then you find yourself potentially, dropping out, that would not be good. But I mean, if you're in the bubble and you're safe, why not? I would have to agree with Hodrick. So why not? As we see IHC, multiple teams making some subs. Once again, we've had 3 teams changing their rosters back to what they had kind of like in day number 1.
Yeah, we were talking about it off camera. For IHC, this is their 2nd substitute today. They made one right at the beginning of this of the day of games, and now they're immediately switching that one on back. So Godless will be going out, Alex coming in for Furious Gaming. We've already got the super sub from yesterday off of the back of their fantastic performance. Now they're bringing Trigger back on in to do what they do best. And I mean, even for the likes of D Xavier, there is a substitute. So the change up, again, we were talking about these massive substitutes. They've been making some beautiful impacts. Now reverting those changes, maybe, they're just not feeling it. Maybe they needed some extra energy for the last 3 maps. I mean, I can't even believe that we're already at the halfway marker. I feel like I've blinked and we've already missed 3 maps worth of action. What is going on? These teams have just been so active and dynamic that the time is flying, man.
Yeah. We're already 3 games down. You're absolutely right. Things are getting ever so dicier for so many of these teams. Vivo Kid and Game Lord, constant back and forth right now, trying to get past one another. They're both in that survival bubble, but of course, Genesis Dogma Gids, that's the team under the most amount of pressure at this stage, in my opinion. They're fighting for their tournament lives. If they don't break that top 11, which they are 13 points away from, it is done. They are done for the rest of the year completely. Everyone's staying in the survival stage. They could still continue and play quite a few more games to try and make it into the finals. So it's going to come down to Genesis Dogma Gids. That's the team under the most amount of pressure, in my opinion. The playing path from south to west. Maybe 4 a.m. can jump into George Pool from here. We saw the adjustment they made the first Erangel game, though, which almost got them the chicken dinner. 2nd place finish coming out of military base. They just did a faster rotation. But with this flight path, they will indeed go into north or south George Pool. I'm sorry, that's where they usually loot. Another team will be by them in hospital. Nobody. IHC not even dropping into... Oh, that is a big difference.
I was waiting for it. I mean, just looking at it, not a single drop onto Militia Base. Island teams prioritizing that main land opportunity. So we'll have to wait and see how that zone will impact them, if we will be seeing a similar match. Flight path
is this a targeted drop?
Opportunity.
Is this a targeted drop by IHC? Because, I mean, they are going towards, like... 4 a.m.s. Oh, no, we've seen IHC loot crates before. That's right. We've seen them loot crates before. They usually, I mean, through what we've seen, it seems like they prefer Novo, right? They prefer military base. But, I mean, after so many just subpar performances for Erangel coming out of military base. I think they're deciding to change things up, and a lot of teams getting into potential early game scuffles here. See one player almost getting run over, but that player quickly decides to leave. It's Tem Entertainment picking up his teammate. Yeah, I guess with this playing path on the northeastern side, a lot of teams are having to drop close and on top of each other. 4 a.m. with a very split up drop. Not sure we have some of 4 a.m. in South George Pole, and then we have 2 of 4 a.m. over there. No vehicles. Yeah, it's very.
It's bizarre. Like at this stage of the game, to see them, running with the split, I'm not sure if they just saw so many teams heading to what they were planning to be Georgia Pool that they're like, listen, it's just not up. Let's just drop down. Let's get some vehicles. Let's get a later rotation in somewhere else a little bit safer than this current position. Which, okay, look, we understand. The zone also came on in. We know that western portion of Wrangle's open, so the opportunities are there. I like what the devs were talking about, train to kill and rejects, as one does well, the other one has to match that or they will fall off. I mean, there is only 3 maps left, but what's curious is also just the way in which these teams have been catching up to one another. They're sitting right now on the exact same placement points, both with 104. And again, the only differentiating factor there is those eliminations, just rejects inching on forward. But, I mean, the likes of GK Esports as a star comparison, they are only 1 point away from picking up 103 eliminations now. So you can see the difference in terms of just how these teams have managed to open up opportunities for them. Obviously, Train to Kill and Rejects, they've been more aggressive. They've been looking out for those opportunities, and they have to. Placement points, clearly, as we know, are just not enough at this point in the game, especially if you want to get yourself into the top 3.
4 a.m. regrouping here. I see what happened now on the minimap. So IHC, maybe not a targeted drop, but they did a 2-2. They had 2 in crates and then 2 in South George Pole, and that was enough to scare 4 a.m. off from, committing all of them to South George Pole. And yeah, the parachutes coming out of that plane path, a lot of people all jumped out around the time 4 a.m. did, so they got a little bit spooked, but hopefully they can regroup. Their last player is safe in North George Pole, completely alone, looting it up. So 4 a.m. just needs to group up as those 3 players in the car we saw earlier and make it across the bridge. No one's really bridge camping, but there is a chance for them to get shot at, and hopefully they don't get taken out of the vehicle.
Yeah. Look, I would make the same call at this stage. You've only got 3 opportunities. You've only got 3 maps. This is the second last iteration of a wrangle you are going to have to put some points on the board. It's the bread and butter of PUBG Mobile. I mean, you know this map like the back of your hand. So if there's a good opportunity for you to bring this on in, then yeah, take it. We can see that rotation from 400 men. They are heading towards North Georgia Pool. They were seemingly spot out by IHC as they are inching closer and closer to that bridge rotation that they just made. We see a couple of shots being exchanged as well, but obviously nothing really translating into an elimination just yet. So for now, I think 4 Angry Men should get away with that, which is great. They've recovered. They're back in the game. As for everyone else making that rotation, that board, that overall rankings, man, 7 points between 3rd and 4th. And then over towards IHC, hopefully South George is going to be working for them because they have quite a mountain to climb if they want to get themselves into top 3.
That point gap between 4th and 5th, 21 points difference, which isn't that big of a gap, but given the amount of games we have left, that is quite the gap to pass up. We saw a similar gap at the start of the day, or the second match, right? And we saw one win just absolutely change everything with Train to Kill. But that was when we had a couple of games left. Now with less games, there's less chances to close that gap and less chances to make mistakes as Genesis Dogma gets getting into a early game engagement against Nongshim Red Force. Nongshim Red Force losing 1 player already to Genesis, so that's a good start for Genesis because they need to get those points to make it into the survival stage.
Absolutely, they do. We can see just coming through in from that interview, a little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety as every single, like you said, mistake, it hits that much harder. that mistake could lead you out of this wrangle. It could mean that you're taking your maps, your opportunities down to only 2. So clinical executions need to come through. They need to just really deploy every single best possible strategy they have, and one of those will be just to drive over Nongshim Red Force. I mean, it works. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they needed.
That player was spotted out earlier, and they had a faint idea, and they do get another elimination. I want to see Genesis Dogma gets pushed Nongshim Red Force now. They definitely know the shots being fired were supporting fire, like shot lines. They know Nongshim Red Force is down to 2. Nongshim Red Force, one of the weaker teams too. So you have 4 up. The zone's far away from you. Go finish the fight. Pick up another point, maybe even 2. Like, you know the location of 1 for sure. They just took shots at you. So these are the small, slight risks that I feel like Genesis Dogma needs to make at this point in the stage. Just take it. Just capitalize off those points. Have some confidence. The only thing is FaZe is rotating in from the east, and that could be a potential problem. But they don't necessarily know that, so I want to see them press the fight just a little bit more as FaZe rolls in. But Genesis Dogma looks like they're just looting up, and they're going to prioritize the rotation instead and take the 2 points and go with there.
Very interesting. And again, small adjustments. And the first iteration we saw of Genesis on a wrangle earlier today, they were looking good. They were looking aggressive. They were taking those engagements. We had all of that chaos there towards school, and they were picking fights. They were starting some fights. They were picking up great eliminations. It was a really good starting point for them. And now I do not want to see them revert back to their previous, strategies. We clearly have seen that these aggressive energies really do work with this group, and the zone is going to mean a lot of water still involved in the next phase.
Oh, a Corey ending. Potential Fairy Pira. This zone changes things a lot. Actually, it's probably better that Genesis Dogma didn't take that fight. If that fight lasted a little bit longer, they would have missed out on a great rotation opportunity in the form of this zone. We'll see where Genesis Dogma ends up going. 2 heavy rotational teams, 4AM and Rejects, way far up in the north. I don't know if Rejects is going to be able to do one of those very strong rotations center with a shift like this. Same for 4AM. We see 4AM always tries to, especially on that Sandhawk game, but with such a poor performance on Sandhawk, they might feel a little bit deterred on making that long dash of a rotation. Here comes FaZe on the backside of Genesis Dogma Gids, and Genesis firing off some shots to push FaZe away. They'll take the bunker position here, which is somewhat off-center. Not a bad position to have, though. Here is 4AM. This is on the very northern edge of the zone. So they still have a long ways to go, a long rotation to be made if they're going to do the classic 4AM central rotation.
I'm getting excited because Rejects have just found Train to Kill up towards the north. They're making that rotation. They've already taken 1 from Train to Kill. They're hot on their heels. At least they were for a time being, just there by Everest. So good information. They've at least thinned down the numbers here for Train to Kill, which they need to. They're only 7 points away from one another.
That was a huge elimination for the Reject team. I wonder if they did a lot of VOD review and purposely stayed up there for the hopes that Train to Kill in a circle like this would be rotating from north down and wrap into them. Because we very rarely ever see Rejects waiting on the edge of anything, camping anything. They're always on the move. They're always rotating. So it might not be pure coincidence that it was onto a Train to Kill member.
Big brain players. I like it. This is what they need. 3 more maps left. They need to do something crazy like that. Changing up that gameplay could also completely throw the likes of Train to Kill, who might have wanted to turn the game on them, into a bit of a situation where they suddenly don't know exactly what Rejects will be doing. What's their next move? How are they going to take this next engagement? And now Rejects with that rotation. We did see Train to Kill heading all the way to the west. We've got Rejects moving on in, but Tem Entertainment might be lurking within the vicinity. They took a very similar path down all the way from school into this location. So hopefully Rejects can avoid them, because right now it is looking so good. I just want to see them finding a better position in zone, and then massive opportunity.
Rejects right here. Fighting in from the edge, very rare do we get to see this. They might actually go for a full send. Well, I mean, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a very tough full send rotation. Zone pulls even further down to the south West. This game does not get any easier for these competitors.
We got Primosk, who is still involved in a potential loss zone. You can see the chaos of rotations that are now going to be forced in. 4 Angry Men just went through GK Esports and have lost a member in return, reduced down to 3. 4 Angry Men not showing us that style, that mechanic that they have been so sufficient in and so proficient rather in the last couple of days. They just keep getting hit after hit.
Yeah, that was a massive loss. The player Ching Chen driving into one of the other it was, what team was that? It was GK, yeah.
GK.
They collided, which caused the GK member to jump out. Yeah, 4AM losing a player is just very bad, especially in a zone like this. In a zone like this, you want as much manpower as you can. Geek Fam coming in here on the northeastern edge, taking a strong fight against DXavier. DXavier they've been doing worse and worse on the very last day. They've done better in other days.
And they just took a sub.
Yeah, but today has been probably DXavier's worst day yet. I don't know. I think in 4 games, they might have only picked up 2 points or something like that. It just does not seem like they've been anywhere to be found. FaZe coming in very close next to the likes of 4AM, and this is why they need the manpower. FaZe has 4. 4AM only has 3. This could mean the loss of this fight. Nice shots from long range, though. Nice nade. If 4AM had 4, they might feel like they could get a little bit more aggressive here, but they're going to need a few more nade connects before they do anything. That distance for that nade throw might just be slightly too far. Nice, good jump tosses, but yeah, FaZe are just out of distance for those continual nades.
FaZe was having their focus there towards Falcons, and my question in the back of my mind was like, do they know that 4 Angry Men is right alongside of them? That nade obviously gives that position away. They know exactly what's happening. In the meantime, Falcons were reduced down to 1, hopefully trying to get the reses popped on off, but FaZe still with 4. They get that recovery. 4 Angry Men, like you said, they can't really push on this. They get that opening, they get that opportunity, but as soon as they try and make that dash, they expose themselves to Genesis, they expose themselves to a little bit of Nongshim Red Force, they expose themselves to Besiktas. I mean, take your picks. They're really, really pinned down into one of the worst positions they can hold on to.
They're definitely pinned. They're going to just hope for the circles at this point. Rejects, meanwhile, swinging into the western side of things from the high ground. Very smart rotation by them. IHC is sitting right in front of the Rejects team, however, so if the zone shifts anywhere more east, and it does, seeming like on the top of the mini-map right there, Rejects is going to have to fight their way in or make some type of YOLO rotation. You see all 4 vehicles of the Rejects. They're rotating. They're trying to find something. It's not going to be easy. 4AM will get that zone. Rejects are forced to do a little bit of a pit stop out of zone. Will they take this fight with IHC, or are they just grouping up here to think of where else they could rotate into? From what we can see as viewers, there is nothing that's left open for them to really play in.
Oh, what are the chances of a double nade? Moving on in, 4 Angry Men still applying that utility.
Oh,
looking
the push?
for any opportunity
They
to
will.
get themselves some space. Here it is. They got 2. Yes, let's move it on in. Oh no, WWX goes down. It's a 2v2 now as 4 Angry Men try and make that last dash. They do find another. There is a down to a 2v1. Where's the turnaround for FaZe? As in terms of the spacing they had available, MR5, nowhere in an opportunity do they have to try and say anything against 4 Angry Men.
That was such a good push. I love that. Out of a 3-man of 4AM, with Genesis Dogma potentially looking at them, they still have the confidence to try and make plays happen. They weren't going to let them get the 2 free revives. FaZe down to 1 on the northern side of things. Train to Kill. This is the team that has been on the heels of the Rejects, and they are just getting cut down. The Rejects starting it off with that very first elimination might have threw everything into disarray for Train to Kill, and it is a domino effect that is just getting worse and worse for Train to Kill, landing wide into the open. Where is the last player going to play? I don't think he's going to manage to stay alive there either. He's got that UAS to blow up for cover, but it's going to be tough. And Rejects, here's that rotation that they've decided upon, and they're going to slam into the power plant compound on the outside walls. They can stay safe for now. We've seen a lot of teams end up sharing this area towards the late game. And very smart rotation by the Rejects. Calculated but risky, but it pays off once again. The Rejects will make it into zone and keep 4 up.
They were staring down the barrel of a potential engagement with IHC, and you know who was behind them just shortly before this rotation? It was actually Train to Kill. Train to Kill went all the way from behind Rejects to that flank that has now led them, well, back into the lobby, waiting for Miramar. Rejects holding on to that rotation, and now they need to make sure they do not go down here. Train to Kill are out. They have an opportunity, like we said, to build up that gap, to give themselves that buffer zone. They just need to take out the likes of Game Lord, who are currently in 11th.
Train to Kill is out. Game Lord versus the Rejects for that compound. Probably won't be a full engagement unless if a team gets a double knock somehow. And, well, just as I say that grenade, ooh, bounces right in the middle of everyone there. Gets some good damage in, but no knocks. You see Rejects trying to make more ground. It all depends on the next circle shift. The Rejects are on the pretty edge side of the north side, so this next circle, if it pulls hard to the south, it could mean a fight is having to be forced out of the Rejects and Game Lord. We'll see it right now, and the circle will go, and it pulls down just south enough that Rejects are not in zone. Rejects are going to have to make this push, make this play against the Game Lords, but look at this, so many teams on the northern side. GK, Vivo Key, Furious Gaming, and Tim Entertainment all lose the circle as well. They might all be looking at this power plant compound to take.
Also, just the spacing that is in that zone. I mean, so much open ground to work with. There are some ridge lines. The trees are obviously there, but it is going to be a tough decision now to make that move on in. Falcons holding on for Angry Men. They have been looking for opportunities. They are proving me wrong, and I am loving it. Let's bring that energy back. Already with 3 from FaZe. Maybe add a little bit of Falcons in, and they could be riding on high. Never alone. Well, you can guess. Not really keeping to the namesake. They are very much alone. And they still have to make a rotation on in. Right up ahead of them, we've got Bashitas. Here is that engagement here towards Quarry. Evo Keed losing 1. GK Esports, they are picking up numbers.
Yeah, GK, they're going to just play this as late as possible. Take some shots at teams that are forced to rotate a little bit earlier than them. But GK's also got to make the move very soon here. Tim Entertainment getting a grenade elimination. Tim Entertainment on the west side of Quarry getting into fight with IHC. I think Tim Entertainment's thinking about taking the high ground south of Quarry rather than going into the power plant. They do have the opening to do so, and they do have the position to scout out that area. Geek Fam just continuously playing very split up on the northeastern side, looking for any opportunity for fights. And yeah, here comes that fight. Tim Entertainment is going to go down south with that opening onto IHC and follows up with that grenade. Alex doing what he can, moves up forward, gets taken down, and Tim Entertainment coming back swinging, doing Tim Entertainment things. 1v3 for Zayol. He gets 1 knock, down to 1 shot, not able to do much more. And Tim Entertainment with 4 eliminations, 4 players up on the high ground that pretty much overlooks the entire rest of the zone. We might see another one of those Tim Entertainment games.
You know, we had 3 teams that made those substitutions moving on into this one. 2 out of the 3, they're gone. They're out. Now, Furious Gaming moving on in. One of the only other teams that made that substitute. And look at this. It seems like the substitute was the bad luck charm. Furious Gaming, all 3 of the teams that made substitutes. Goodbye. Rejects reduced down to 2 as GK Esports pick up some pacing. Game Lords now being distracted by these rotations. Geek Fam, the likes of a few others, trying to force them out of their position could mean the spacing for Rejects to now rotate on out if it was not for GK Esports. They only have Ragnar left. Dulo looking up for that opportunity. Will Tim Entertainment actually help out with the third body? Yes, they will. Ragnar on a sliver of HP. It's done. Rejects have space.
Oh my gosh, Rejects, such a resilient team. I'm pretty sure we've seen everything out of the Rejects spot at this point. Just all the different strats that they could use and how they managed to just survive the most difficult of situations. They've made their comeback into this tournament off of huge circle blessings with huge amount of eliminations, but they are sticking into the top 3 through skill, determination, and grit alone. They've definitely been on the bad side of circle shifts multiple times, but they are toughing it out, and they are also utilizing their numbers to pick up eliminations when they can, up to 6 eliminations. Right now, out of all the teams alive and dead, they have the most amount of eliminations. This Rejects team has really come into this tournament fit and ready to come swinging for that top 3 position.
Geek Fam still up with 4, and they're going to need it. 4 Angry Men have been on a teardown. They're still behind in terms of the eliminations, but Genesis Dogma now up ahead of them. We know Genesis, they've been struggling for the last couple of days. They picked up a beautiful winner chicken dinner, but are they ready to take on the likes of 4 Angry Men? Well, again, actually. Team Entertainment now moving on in from that western side. Clear open line of sight. 4 Angry Men, this is going to be a tough battle, but if they can take out Genesis, they get a securing point, an anchor into the southern portion of that zone.
This is when a 4th member out of 4 AM would have been so much better than having just 3. Here comes the push. Genesis Dogma makes a nice readjustment and gives that compound up. They can funnel 4 AM into this compound for a tighter chokehold, as that compound's not in the zone. So 4 AM is going to have to continue their push into this 3v4. Meanwhile, Tim Entertainment taking the high ground away from IHG. It's going to have free reign over everyone on the low ground, and hopefully they can pick up some eliminations for themselves.
4 Angry Men, they're moving on in. We've got Tim Entertainment in the meanwhile applying some pressure to Geek Fam. So 4 Angry Men, this is the turning point. Besiktas now joining the action. It's going to be a little bit of a while though, before they spot out Genesis Dogma. Here it is. Peace is going to get shot. There's a nade that's going to be sent on out. Will it make the connection? It does! Besiktas reduced down to 1. A bit of a pre-nade comes on through, trying to stop Genesis Dogma. In the meanwhile, 4 Angry Men, where's the information? They can hear these explosions. Will they be able to find out what Genesis Dogma are up to?
Good push, good proactivity from Genesis Dogma. I wasn't expecting this. Surrounded by 2 teams, and they go on the aggressive. That's exactly what Genesis Dogma needs to do. Make sure, though, you don't take a knock from a team you do not need to engage with. 4 AM. They're looking to get that 3rd party, but none of Genesis Dogma was knocked down. They'll take the time, though, to rotate up more into zone. They clear out the shack, and they might actually just spot out another place that they can play in. They might just leave Genesis Dogma here alone. And Reject, was that the Rejects that just went out? I believe so.
Yeah, it was. Rejects are out. They don't have an opportunity to further that buffer. And I mean, I don't really blame them. They had Geek Fam, they had the likes of Game Lords, they had the likes of GK Esports pushing on in, applying that pressure. They didn't have space. And then, of course, Tem Entertainment came on in. They had the perfect line of sight. Rejects did not have an opportunity. It took a little bit too much time to get out of that compound. And now a few teams will thrive. We got that zone up in 5 seconds. Genesis Dogma also have a couple of seconds to decide what they want to do here against 4 Angry Men. Do they have the information, though, that it's only 3 Angry Men?
It'd be hard for them to figure that out. They can hear the footsteps now. They might be able to assume it's a 3-man, because usually 4-mans would be a little bit more aggressive in terms of, taking trades. The fact that, everyone's stuck at a shack might give them a decent idea that it is not a full team. And yeah, these nades are going to be deadly. 4 AM. We saw on Miramar, they did not want to take a 4v4 with Geek Fam, and now that they're down to 3, they definitely aren't feeling too comfortable here. At a disadvantage, they really need a nade knock opening, and they do! Good Shell gets, wait, a double! Good Shell gets 2! That's going to be the difference maker right here. 4 AM pushing aggressive now. One of the 4 AM members have rotated away, though, I think? No, yeah, he's knocked out in the open, and Good Shell gets the 3rd. Can he get the 1v4? It is down to a 1v1. Good Shell has found all 3 openings, down to 1 HP with the DBS. He is not able to make it work. Oh, 4 AM. That could have been 4 more points and a 4th place finish instead of 5th place. 4 AM losing out on so many much needed points right there. It was a valiant fight. But at the end of the day, we're down to 3 teams now. It is going to be Tem Entertainment, a Geek Fam, and the likes of Game Lord.
Love that. At the very least, both sides picking up much needed points. For Genesis, it means a lot more because they're not currently in that top 3. But it is going to be a massive momentum boost to know that they took out the likes of 4 Angry Men, currently sitting in 2nd. Geek Fam, our top place finishing team currently moving on in with 4 members. We've got 4, I believe that's 4 from Tem Entertainment. Yes, it is. Game Lord, one of the only other squads to hold the line. Oh, just narrowly missing out on that elimination, at least that knock. But Geek Fam, that 1-3 split, it's going to be tough. Yuhai has to take on the entirety of Tem Entertainment, or at the very least delay them.
Did he go down? Oh, he did not go. He went down to literally 0.01 HP. And he gets the heal off. Honestly, Tem Entertainment is probably the scariest team in here. Tem Entertainment is the most clutch team, I feel like. When they're in a position where it's like, oh my god, they could do this, they almost always do this. Like, sure, they're not the first place team, nor the second place team. They're not a 4 AM, but in positions like this, I don't know, man. Tem Entertainment just becomes a different breed. They get the circle shifted down south. They're and the firing cross lines of both teams of Game Lord and Geek Fam, though. So they need to survive a little bit longer. And they just find these shots.
Ooh.
Doing so well for themselves. And a quick aside, 4 AM did manage to pick up those elimination points, though. Because as soon as the last member went down, the 3 initial knocks did go their way. So those are some crucial points that 4 AM did gather.
We have to remind ourselves, Tem Entertainment have taken on the likes of Geek Fam before in an opportunity where Geek Fam had the advantage. Tem Entertainment won it out, and this time around the tables have turned and Geek Fam just are not being able to have an opportunity to reset themselves. Micah down to 7 HP. Here's the push from Game Lord now. Can they put a thorn in the side of Tem Entertainment? Can they make the difference, or will they just go down to a rotation? It's almost instantaneous. Tem Entertainment, Geek Fam up for the winner chicken dinner.
And Tem Entertainment, they are getting it done. I'm not going to count out Geek Fam just yet. If Yuhai can get some insane double knock, and then the duo of Yuhai and Damn Rude runs in the opening and gets another one, it could be possible. But Tem Entertainment finds Yuhai. It is all down to Damn Rude 1v4 situation. Tem Entertainment. We still got 2 games left, right? If there's a chance. I mean, Tem Entertainment, they could do it. Very smart for Damn Rude to deny this point. And yeah, Tem Entertainment, that's a scary team. You don't want to give them any more momentum than they're already getting. Here it comes at. Oh my gosh, look. He just went Super Saiyan mode right there. Are those brothers or twins? I mean, they look like they could be brothers. And they seem like they have a very brotherly camaraderie. We saw one game where they both won, and they were giving high fives back and forth like no other. And it's usually those two celebrating with one another each time. So I don't know. Maybe really close friends, maybe related, but either way, Tem Entertainment getting a huge win. I want to see the leaderboards. Where does this put Tem Entertainment?
Look, the main differentiating factor here for me and Tem Entertainment, we were talking about what is the secret to their rise in power in the last couple of days. Why have they been so dominating? Why have they just looked like no matter what situation you put them in, they just turn into a different beast? I think it's a very big factor that they have such a good mentality. They are hyping each other up. They are keeping each other on the good vibes, man. And they're bringing that into their performance.
Tem Entertainment definitely sticking true to their name, giving us the entertainment. Probably the most fun people to watch on camera too. Let's see where they take it for the next 2 games. Let's go!
Oh, damn entertainment. Bust out the chicken dinner here in match number 4. I love to see that excitement, that hype, dude. Going full Super Saiyan. Hey, couldn't be. But so what I say, you know what? Better later than never for them. Geek Fam, oh, just on a tear here. Absolutely dominating. Putting up 21 points here, 7. What else do you see?
Tim Entertainment, I mean, doing exactly what they needed to do before the last 2 matches, putting themselves in a spot. I'm pretty sure once we go to that overall, they're going to be a lot closer now to that 3rd place. But Reject, for them to be able to put up 8 points, being a little bit more aggressive, I do appreciate that aggressiveness out of Reject, Glitter.
Yeah, and honestly, it looked good on them, okay? They were the squad that got the 20 Elim chicken dinner, lest we forget. So they have this capability to be more aggressive as we look at the top performers here from that last matchup. 4 AM up on top with Good Chow. 4 Elims, over 700 damage. And then, to be fair though, Tem up here as well. 2 players from Tem. And then Geek Fam with Yuhai. Yuhai, can we just talk about Yuhai for a second? Because he's been disgusting all day today.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be Mika. It used to be Mika for the longest time for Geek Fam, and I feel like Yuhai, especially the last 2 days, in a way has just overpassed him in just being able to clutch up and put out great amount of numbers for his team.
Some people have just got that ice water in their veins, and I think Yuhai has proven to be that. And honestly, he has proven this, I think, a lot earlier. We've seen him in past tournaments, and I remember calling out his name back when I casted the games. I mean, this dude is a beast. Let's go ahead and take it to a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes. And we're back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Hot Juice, here on the desk. I got 7WG and Glitter Explosion. Oh, man, only 2 more matches left to go. I hope you guys are excited as I am. Of course, we got to give a big thank you to the official smartphone here for PMGC. That's Sony. Their Xperia 1.4 and Xperia Stream were created in collaboration with professional esports players. You guys can play PUBG Mobile in 90 Hz with Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming. Alrighty then. Tim Entertainment pulled out a massive chicken dinner. You guys know what's coming up next. It's the overall rankings, baby. It's the overall rankings. Where does everybody line up with only 2 matches left to go? Ooh.
Tim being able to jump up from 8th place. Yeah, Reject maintaining. This is what I was saying. Like with the 8 points that they were able to gather in the last match and the aggressiveness, they were able to at least continue on with the gap. Tim making up some big spots though, going from 8th to 5th, Glitter.
Yeah, and it might look like there's still a big gap, but if they can continue to somehow keep the momentum up, then that won't be so big of a gap. There's still just barely enough time for them to overcome T2K and Reject if both the teams somehow flounder. And now, as we look at the 11th place bubble, we have Vivo Keed and Besiktas dropping down. Game Lord giving themselves a little bit of safety here now above Genesis Dogma Gids, who is literally 6 points behind Vivo Keed. D Xavier's been silent all day. Now our focus is on Genesis Dogma Gids. And, I mean, 6 points? Come on.
none of those teams are safe. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there. Nobody is safe. I've been talking about Besiktas. I've been saying how that team needed to do something, or the other teams were gonna start catching up. Well, guess what? They definitely catched up. Gamelord passed them, as you mentioned. Vivo Kid only 4 points away, and Genesis Dogma gets, I mean, 145 points. They can definitely make that push. They're only 10 points away from being able to take on them. It's going to come down to the last game as we do look at the top performance. Geek Fam, I'm not surprised there. 4am, I'm not surprised. Now this, if there was ever a time, Glitter, for a team to wake up and use being a top performer for a certain map, it would be the Xavier. This team has only put up 2 points today. I mean, they can still, with the win, they could still possibly do it. You're the one that's been pushing the underdog story, saying, what's the percentage?
Look, I'm the, you know, so you're still, so you say there's a chance, guy. Okay, 7? There ain't no chance, bro. There ain't no chance. I love Xavier so much. I love to see how they performed here. But now they're at the point where they need to win 2 dinners back-to-back. I called it earlier, right? Tem was one of those squads. They needed to win 3 in a row if they want to make top 3. They've already done 1 and got 2 more. But Xavier, especially with all the shenanigans coming up, 7, as we look at your teams to watch, I think that's a little bit too big to swallow.
They don't necessarily need to win 2 games. 1 game will do for them, and then hope for the best. But anyways, with Reject, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. I'm enjoying the extra aggression that we're seeing out of them. They kind of appreciated the call out, I guess, that we were doing earlier, Glitter, that we just didn't enjoy seeing them be a little bit too passive, go for those placement points. With GK, this team has performed significantly well in Miramar. If there was ever a time for another team to wake up and maybe do exactly what Tem Entertainment just did, this would be the map for that. And Genesis Dogma gets, I mean, you're currently, what, 6 points away from 11th. You are within grasp. Do everything within your power to be able to get that 11th spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I feel about Genesis Dogma as well. Obviously, we picked both them and Reject. Those points are identical, in my opinion. But I'm also still looking at Gamelord. They might have jumped up, but it's not by much. It's a couple points here and there, so they need to do a little bit more if they want to ensure themselves some safety.
Well, let's see it right now. Guys, let's take a look at some of the player shots as we are about to get ready for the final 2 matches of the day. Man, these players are locked and loaded. You can see Geek Fam really stressed out right now, 7. So just nervous about where they're going to land up on the leaderboards, as you can see.
Yeah, you know what Geek Fam is doing right now? We might have made the best loan trade in the history of PUBG Mobile for the region. Because Yuhai is actually on a loan from Bigatron from Indonesia.
That's
and
right.
you know, Bigatron right now is watching this like, maybe we should have kept them, guys. Maybe we should have kept them.
That's crazy to see. I mean, Bigatron are in the survival stage. They're going to have to hunt down and get that top 4 if they want to make it and see Yuhai there. I mean, this is just insane. Geek Fam, I've been doing so well. 4 Angry Men have been, but there are just so many teams where the pressure is on so high. Glitter, what's up?
I gotta ask too, because while you guys were talking, we were watching a couple subs pop up there. Geek Fam with a sub and IHC with a sub. Good idea, bad idea. Last 2 matches of the day.
Go for it.
Well, let's find out. Let's take a look at casters. What do you guys think? The last 2 matches of the day. Let's send it on over to them.
I like.
Thank you, Hot Jukes. Well, Geek Fam substitute, I'd have to say, well, they could do whatever they want at this point. They're so far in the lead. They're probably have some fun. They're probably putting Sonics in, and it's like, all right, you know,
Get some games on, bro.
Yeah, get some clips in, right? Unfortunate for Snipes. Snipes who got subbed out. Snipes like, man, I want to have a bit more fun. But IHC, all right, they subbed out Demo for Godless. The only reason, in my opinion, that IHC would still be, you know, try and make adjustments is because they want to make top 3. They're very safe in the survival group. Like, they'll make it in. So the only reason they're doing anything is because they want to shoot for top 3. And I was telling you as Proxy, if they're really going to be trying to make top 3 still, I want to see them hot drop on the rejects. For all the teams that are a little bit further out, like that want to try and make top 3, your best way about going with it is to hot drop on rejects and then close the game strong.
What's interesting for me is IHC, this is the third substitute. They literally just got rid of Godless, like I think about 2 maps in for Alex. They've moved on in, now Godless is back. So they're trying anything and everything they possibly can at this point in time to fight for that third position. We mentioned it as well. I do not think there's an opportunity to take first and second place right now. I think third place is a much better opportunity for Angry Men and Geek Fam. They have been putting in the work, you know. Might not be as standard as what Geek Fam have been putting up, but for Angry Men have been getting points. They got that buffer zone. So third place, the fight for third place is going to lead us to the northwestern point of Miramar. So Oasis is in there. Imagine if we go there. Just imagine it. But this is going to be a tough battle. I mean, that flight path to that zone combination teams, once again, interesting rotations.
Circle centered on Crater Fields. Might see some rotational fighting early on. We do have Fernand. He's got a Winchester. Is he gonna try and get a shot in? He is. He's gonna go for it. And one. And loses sightlines. He got one more chance. 2. Maybe a third one. A fourth one. A fifth one. 6.
He's teaching us to count, but he's not finding a good combination.
He's teaching us to count. I mean, why not go for it, right? 4 a.m. making it out of there. That could have been a very scary start for the beginning of the match for 4 a.m. But where are they going to loot? They wanted to take Impala, it seems, but they don't want to go for an early game contestation, and I don't blame them, right? One bad game and one decent game out of Rejects, all of a sudden they're looking at losing second place, and more importantly, if you lose second place and go down to third place, that fourth and fifth place team all of a sudden looks a lot scarier. So 4 a.m. playing as safe as possible for good reason, but they can loot Junkyard. That's pretty much it. They could scrap loot around Junkyard. That's the only option they have left for loot.
You know what, we talk about, you know, Rejects, they're no stranger to having a few teams drop in with them towards Los Leones. However, what's impactful about this drop right now, the team that is opposite them is a team that is chasing after their position. It is Tem Entertainment, sitting on the opposite end of Los Leones, still a team as well as Rejects having to make a rotation. Will they make a rotation together? Will they be an earlier rotation? Will they be able to cut one another off? We talked about it. An opportunity for IHC is to drop on Rejects. The same opportunity, even better of an opportunity, is for Tem Entertainment to do the same. If they take out Rejects, all of a sudden we are talking about Tem Entertainment reaching that third place finish. Already with those eliminations, they have closed the gap to 2 points between themselves and Train to Kill, who are in fourth place.
We'll see if the last game proves some crazy hot drops, but for now this game is going to be pretty normal besides the circle. Rejects very far from the zone, but we saw on that Erangel game, right? That was probably one of the few Erangel games we saw where Rejects could not rotate in early, and they rotated in quite late, and they actually played it superbly well. They probably maximized as many points as they could with the rotations they made and how they just pretty much through sheer determination made it to the late game and picking up at one point the most amount of eliminations in the whole lobby. So this Rejects teams definitely deserve the position they're in. This circle, I'm very curious to see how they play this one out. Game Lord has rotated into the center. We have a couple of teams near center now. It would be D Xavier, who really needed to change things up today, but I think it's almost done for them. Too big of a point gap, and just mentally, I'm pretty sure they are shot.
That's been tough. It has really been tough. Also with, you know, the back of that sub in, immediately going out. I think they were like the second or third team that dropped out, actually. So either way, it's too soon for them to actually have an opportunity to do anything in that previous map. Now, reduced down to only 2 opportunities coming on into the zone. They have an earlier rotation. Maybe they can set themselves up here into El Pozo. Opportunity to loot and opportunity to hold on. We'll wait and see what the zone will give them, but it will be up to them. Honestly, it will just be down to what they can bring on in, but they've just been so quiet that at this point in time, I don't think they can catch up that gap that's been left.
Yeah, it looks like a big gap, but keep in mind, T Xavier, they've gotten 2 points so far today. So if you want to revert it back to the start of the day, they had such a good chance. Such a good chance at making it into the survival stage, and they've only managed to muster up 2 points. The worst day for D Xavier so far in the whole entire week. That's like, that gives me shades of HVVP.
HVVP.
Yeah.
I'm thinking exactly the same.
Dropping
First
the
down
ball.
into 6.
Yeah, dropping the ball the hardest on the last day is definitely tough. Game Lord does manage to find one elimination onto the side of Vivo Key, the team sitting in 11th place. That is big, good news for Genesis Dogma.
Loving it. I mean, an opportunity now. From Game Lords, they had a very, very good finish there over towards the Wrangle. I saw them, bringing in that action, really putting up a fight against the likes of Rejects, no other team to talk about. Hello, we also see you there. What's up? What's up? How's it going? But they need to bring in a little bit more now if they want to make a change up. And at the very least, just setting yourselves up for that gauntlet that is going to be the survival stage. I mean, bringing in some of that strategy, fighting it out, duking it out, trying to see what works, what doesn't work, bringing in some of that action could really help you out moving into survival stage. I'm not saying, completely give up on an opportunity, but at this rate, we can see the points. We can see how much gap there is to close up. And they've picked up that pacing. They've brought in, Nongshim Red Force picking up a winner chicken dinner. Now Furious Gaming, the last team at the bottom. There's at least been some sort of a change, but I don't think it's going to be enough for them to change their fate.
Definitely. We see GK here on top of the high ground, getting a very nice early game position in. One of the few teams that have been able to take up strong positions because the circle was so far to the northwest. Next zone, though, will really tell the tale of how this Miramar game is going to play out. 4 a.m. rotating in, cutting in right through the eastern edge. So not much loot to be had probably on 4 a.m. side, but they will be able to rotate in here rather quickly. Rejects on the south, and Geek Fam coming in from the northwest on the edge as usual. They always play that northeastern side as their drop spot. Besiktas wrapping in from the hard north right onto Train to Kill. Train to Kill in a decent position you see here. Just a little bit southeast of La Cabrera on the high ground. Train to Kill really wanting to fight for that third place finish. And the circle goes hard to the south. Great circle shift for the Rejects. 4 a.m. on rotation. Like the whole entire time, we'll try to capitalize off this quick circle shift with a continual rotation down somewhere in the center. This could be big news for the side of 4 a.m.
Game Lords, they're sitting in 9th position right now. They can pick up eliminations. They just help to secure themselves. They just help to build that buffer. They're going to be looking for a little bit of something here, sending a few shots on out, waiting for that vehicle just to do its little dance, but it won't be it. It's way too far off. At the very least, they are trying. They do understand that they want to build that buffer. They do not want to have it come down to the last map. And Geek Fam, I would be stressed if I didn't know exactly how many points they had. They're going to lose 2 players, but what's massive for IHC is an opportunity for them to close the gap against Tem Entertainment, at least if UHigh has anything to say about it.
Yeah, Geek Fam will lose 2. IHC pick up 2 points. That's just 2 points out of the many, many points they need to break into the top 3. And IHC on the edge of zone. Not looking too great for IHC, to be honest. This is as good as a start as they could want. They don't prioritize circle, and they pick up elimination points. So we'll see where this brings them in the coming minutes here. Reject and 4 a.m. pretty much right next to each other as far as positioning goes. 4 a.m. on the low ground at the compounds, which is a strong position, right smack dab in the center. And Rejects just basically like 100 meters, if not even 100 meters down to their south on the high ground.
Geek Fam just taking a drive right now. Looking at this, 60 plus points that they have as a buffer zone for 2 maps. Yeah, no stress. It's okay. Look, they can come back on a wrangle if they want. Miramar, just have some fun. Let's see what they do. The focus for us is now that difference between 3rd to 4th to 5th. That difference between 12th to 11th. Getting themselves into the survival stage. It is the teams that are looking to take away points. It's the teams that are trying to break on in. And that opportunity, it's going to be an interesting one. Vivo Keyed, a team that has been very interesting. They are sitting right on 11. They are the guardians of the survival stage right now. And they only hold on to that with a 6-point gap.
Yeah. Very small point gap right there. Tem Entertainment coming in from the hard southern side. This is a team that could potentially break into the top 3. They're going to get into engagement with FaZe. Now, Tem Entertainment, we see them pop off towards the late game. Early game 4v4 engagements, which isn't even really a 4v4 because they just got third party, and Lycan will find the confirmation as well. Furious Gaming firing in some long distance shots. This is not good for Tem Entertainment. Every single time we've seen them clutch up, pull off amazing wins, it's off of the backs of 4 players. I don't know if they could do similar with 3, especially this early on into the match.
And just with the vicinity of teams that they have to work with, they're going to have to head back into the blue zone to make that rotation. Furious Gaming right in last place, taking on the likes of FaZe, sitting in 8th. They are, for the time being, safe in that survival stage, but they want a bit more. Just a little bit more safety, just a little bit more of an opportunity, a breather into the next map. Tem Entertainment, as a team that we were talking about as someone in contention for that 3rd place finish, losing out a player, not what they want. They want everything to go their way as much as absolutely possible. We were talking about the same thing for 4 Angry Men. They wanted as many players alive. Geek Fam, they're going to be reduced down to 1, but I don't know. Do you think there's an opportunity for 4 Angry Men to still close that gap in 2 maps?
Only if they get a chicken here, and it's got to be a big chicken. So honestly, no, I don't think so. 4 AM, they move up more central, and Rejects will take their position. Tem Entertainment having to wrap all the way around. This is a really good zone, though, for Vivo Keed. They could stay up in the north. They're kind of off-centered, though. And at 151, only a couple points away from Genesis Dogma. Genesis Dogma coming in from the hard western side on the edge. This is going to be tough for Genesis Dogma to break in because they have the full entire team of GK on the high ground in front of them. And then right past that is the team of Game Lord with all 4 on even stronger positional high ground near the center. So Genesis Dogma, this might not be the game for them to break into the survival stage. But if they could really pull off something huge, you could pick up a couple more points probably.
Like we said, only 6 points between themselves and Vivo Keed. It is doable. Just to find that one elimination, that one team wipe that will make the difference. Put the pressure on Vivo Keed. Give themselves an opportunity into a wrangle. Take a look at this IHC Besiktas. They have been doing a little bit of work, but they've been quiet. They have been dropping down into the danger zone. Now currently in 10th position, getting shot at by the likes of IHC, who are just using this as a stepping path to try and get closer and closer to the top. FaZe making that rotation on in. Again, they're smack bam center. They're on 8th. They're holding on to as much as anything that they can muster.
DX Xavier looking to get more points than they have the whole entire day so far. If they could just pick up a couple eliminations. But yeah, it's pretty much, I would say DX Xavier is pretty much done for here. Next zone is about to shift. We're down to 56 players. A couple of teams suffering casualties. And the next shift is going to go.
Ooh, was that Tem? That was Tem.
Oh, did Tem just go? Yeah, I think Tem just ran into Falcons and Tem is out. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a team in 5th.
Yep.
Going out to the team in 14th.
Tem is out. And it's all up to Train to Kill now to try and break into the top 3. Train to Kill, with that new circle shift, it puts them in a okay position. Definitely not the best, but at least they will have the zone to work with without having to rotate.
Xavier still putting that pressure onto FaZe, finding Lycan, looking for MR5. Could award them some eliminations. I don't know. I'm not going to get too excited about it just yet because, again, like we said, it is such a far battle. What could be even more exciting is the likes of Genesis Dogma now. They're spotting out DX Xavier, they're spotting out FaZe, they're spotting out an opportunity for them to pick up some huge points, but right ahead of Genesis is going to be GK Esports who are closing that gap. You can see Gaith has been knocked. Ragnar trying to hold the line now as Genesis Dogma make that rotation on in. This is huge for them. We know it's only 6 points. It could start really well with the 4 from GK Esports, but will they be able to clutch it out? And will Game Lords be doing anything about this?
Yeah, I like how they're going aggressive. They need to here, and it is not working out, however. It seems like the first knock is going to fall on the side of Genesis Dogma. They're down to 3. 1 player on the top to try and suppress the 2 players of GK. And with less manpower, this is looking like they're going to give up on the fight completely and just try and rotate into zone. It does seem like it, but oh, a great knock, but a quick trade right back. Yeah, Genesis Dogma has to give up on the fight. It was a good attempt. I can't fault them for that, but now they are going to have to just try and play survival with the last two. Furious Gaming, this is on the southeast against Nongshim Red Force. Furious down to 2, Nongshim much stronger and in a better position with 4.
Nongshim Red Force, they have brought in some crazy energy into today, picking up that Sandhawk, which was just absolutely clutch. Now here towards Miramar, a little bit less jungle than they would potentially like, but we'll see what they can do with it. Besiktas, oh, what a tough situation. And again, Besiktas is chasing after Game Lords, right? On the overall standings, Besiktas in 10th, Game Lords in the 9th, and Besiktas now down to only 1, thanks to Game Lords, who are just picking up point after point. IHC moving on in from the back line. A little bit of line of sight for them to work with, but here it is, Nongshim Red Force, Furious Gaming. A little bit of scouting opportunity. There is that information. You can see they are scattering. They are looking to hold off the line.
Yeah, on the northern side, things are getting really dicey for the teams near the bottom of the survival group. Game Lords, Besiktas, they're all firing upon each other. In the southeast, though, that's a fight between 15th and 16th place. Seems like everyone on the leaderboards are just next to each other or fighting each other right now. GK are finally moving in from that high ground. They did a great job pressuring Genesis Dogma and hurting them, forcing them to rotate ahead. Now they're running into the Game Lord team, which I was saying has the strongest position. A 1-1-2 split on the tip tops of every mountaintop here. They should be sitting comfortable for the next circle shift as well. And the circle is going to go right back down to the southwest, putting Rejects in a decent position to maintain their 3rd place spot and their lead on everyone else for sure.
Look at Train to Kill as well. That zone going to be going away from them. Suddenly there's a little bit of blessing towards our 3rd place team. An opportunity for them to hold on, and Rejects, perfect storm. We talk about that compound within center, that compound within a position where they can get some eliminations. Nongshim Red Force holding the line, Furious Gaming disengaging, but oh, perfect storm for Rejects as they hold on, and now they've got another team to take a couple of shots at.
Rejects deciding to group up together. They don't even want to do a 2-2 split. All 4 of them in the northwestern quadrant of this compound. That does open up another team to potentially take the eastern little section, which could be Nongshim Red Force. If Nongshim Red Force loses the zone on the next shift, we'll see how it plays out. But for now, they're going to be neighbors with Furious Gaming. On the other side of things, on the northern side, on the high ground, teams are forced to push on in. Yeah, Train to Kill has the most difficult choice to make now. Where are they going to rotate in? How are they going to rotate in? And then, more than likely, will they take that crash fight with 4 AM down to their south in zone? IHC, they're going to slowly work their way in into the edge, playing on the high ground. Game Lords continue to hold their split. They're under much more pressure now that teams are starting to crunch in on them.
Ooh, IHC Train to Kill. This is once again just looking so good for Rejects because Train to Kill now in some contention. Sandish going down to Falcons, who are just like hunting after every possible team. They've already taken out Tem Entertainment. Maybe they might take out the team right above them in 4th place. Train to Kill, Sandish not looking too great. Besiktas holding the line and again still being punished by Game Lords. Falcons, what are we doing? We have taken out the 5th place team. Are we looking for the 4th place as well?
Yeah, Train to Kill saying this is probably a very difficult rotation for them to make, and it is proving so. If they decided to crash 4 AM, they would have been on heavy fire of the Falcons team, and then the arms of 4 AM would be returning fire right back. So Train to Kill, I don't even know if they could have made a better choice. I mean, it was just tough no matter how you cut it, and they are cut down to 1 player remaining.
Game Lords. They've been applying that pressure. GK Esports coming in from the back line. Not really a rotation they can make, though, right now. Game Lords will be safe, just for the time being, but they do have some threats looming in the background. Got a few seconds, though, before that zone closes on up, and then that's going to be the determining factor for me. Is it going to go north? Is it going to go south? Who is going to have that advantage into the next phase? 4 Angry Men still here towards the eastern line, looking for a few You Angels Falcons. Oh, they have just been so devastating to such a number of teams.
The Sheiktas, meanwhile, has been soaking in so much damage at that shack. Pretty sure those players have gotten knocked at least 3 times each. IHC coming down the mountaintops will take out Geek Fam. The last player is eliminated. Geek Fam with such a huge point gap, they should not be worried whatsoever with that performance. GK slowly working their way in. Next circle did close up more central. So now once again, teams on the edge, forced to crunch in just a little bit more.
See 4 angry men here in the valley. That zone moving on through. GK Esports finally getting caught on out. Genesis Dogma not too far off, however. They need to be careful. Yes, Game Lords will be forced off of this position, but how much damage can they do before they make that move? Vivo Keyed, we talked about it, 6 points for them to hold on as the gatekeepers of that survival stage. They can also not afford to go down here. Icy, beautiful opening onto Peace. But what else can they find?
Yeah, this 2-man team of IHC looking like mountaineers, just working the lower side of that mountain all the way through, constantly fighting their way in, getting some strong knocks. Here comes a full send push out of Falcon. Savant with a mini out in hand. It would probably been better to use that UMP. Nades coming in quick. The crossfire, Savant definitely needs the help, but he gets isolated and taken down. Where was the crossfire? The support lines for 4 a.m.
Where was this Falcons? That's what I want to know.
Oh, Notion Red Force also coming in now.
Yes, let's go. Let's just add another third party to the action. 4 angry men absolutely pinch it. They've got 2 now having to deal with Nongshim Red Force. They've got Savant out for the count. That means only 1 angry man can really focus on Falcons on the back line, but Falcons still pressuring on. They are looking, they are applying that pressure, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. 4 angry men, welcome to the sandwich.
Yeah, oh man. Surprised they still have 3 up. Oh, just as I say that, they're up to 2. Falcon looking like they're going to sweep it. You're going to sweep that western side of 4 a.m. Yeah, 4 a.m. The last 2 players now completely isolated from one another. Good Shao's going to evacuate the premises, at least pick up some level 3 gear. I don't know if he's going to try and hold that northern side. And here comes aggressive Notion. Oh, wow. So aggressive. Just pushing in. Yeah, they got him completely surrounded, and that is another 4 a.m. player down. 4 a.m. just down to 1. Falcons still up. And all the meanwhile, rejects are just sitting quiet and pretty, seeing all this chaos play out.
You just said words that don't make sense to me. You just said that Falcons and Nongshim Red Force work together to take out 4 angry men. Yeah, no, I don't understand that one just quite yet. If I wasn't seeing it, I wouldn't be believing it. But here we are, another team. We are up to 4 now as the rejects move on in for a little bit of action, picking up potentially a little bit more eliminations. Nongshim Red Force still holding the line, though, against Falcons, prepping those nades, looking for those opportunities. Falcons have been on an absolute tear, and I still ask the question, where was this version of Falcons earlier?
It's a little bit too late. Same for Nongshim Red Force. Red Force. They are getting some nice fights in, though. Not gonna lie, this is an exchange back and forth. All the meanwhile rejects just firing off whatever third-party shots they could get. Definitely putting in some damage. Next zone comes out. Furious Gaming, the 3-man team, is gonna be forced to push into the rejects team now. Rejects. This should be just more points for them to be gained.
We're talking about that storyline. Rejects building that buffer zone, trying to climb further and further up, train to kill. Reduced to 1. They do have that 1 elimination in the meantime. Nongshim, though, they don't have a lot of time left. Those nades are just finding their victims. Falcons moving on in. They still have plenty of utility to work with, but now here's the push. Here's that final nail in the potential coffin of Nongshim Red Force. Your feet, they're going to be shown. We can see you. We can find you. As Falcons move on forward, closing up this eastern line. They will give themselves the spacing as the only team to close it up. But RQX moving on in with the DBS. They do find 1. It's down to a 1v1 scenario. Never alone once again. As the last member standing here for Falcons, going to be wrapping around. A little bit of time given for that med up. The DBS, come on in. Let's get that 1 shot. It's going to come down to that final connection. Just around the corner they go, waiting for that information. This is going to be a stalemate around the... What are we doing?
Ring around the rosy. Yeah, I mean, that DBS is scary close range in a 1v1. I don't blame Never Alone. He's going to try and force Nongshim Red Force to come into him, and they do win out with the DBS. Furious Gaming, though, 3v4, pushing RC, and they're getting the upper hand here. RC will manage to get the revive. Rejects back up to 2. Furious Gaming still with 3. Furious Gaming not losing a single member. Rejects will get 1, though. Now it brings it back to 2v2. Ray J is also able to secure the point. Fernan running into the crossfire goes down. Now it's a 1v2. A trade happens through. It is Divine and Alien Kid. 1v1 situation. Alien Kid will also get the confirmation. He's got the first aid. He's going to pop it. Doesn't able to get it. Gets some nice damage, and that's going to be crucial for this 1v1. Brings the HP down to even numbers. Back and forth we go. Also, third-party shots from distance. Both teams have to watch out for that. He tries to get the first aid. Alien Kid denies it. And that is the Rejects out with barely any points in eliminations. I don't think they got... They maybe got a 1 or 2. Yeah, 2 eliminations. A 6th place finish. They'll close the gap just a little bit with 4 a.m. But it's not as much as they could have hoped for, especially with 4 a.m. getting taken out way earlier. And the fact that Rejects had 4, I don't know how Furious Gaming swept that out from under them.
Again, it's these teams from the bottom that are just looking to steal away points. Our analyst mentioned it. Nongshim Red Force will be going down earlier on. They're still 28 points away from the other teams that are desperately looking for them. And now they will do a little bit more. But Furious Gaming picking up points. Falcons,
Train to
what
Kill?
is happening?
Train to Kill is still alive.
Still alive, and they've been left to their own devices. No one has been looking at Jane. No one even knows Jane is in this actual location. So if Train to Kill... If Jane could just keep quiet, there's already a third place finish up, maybe a second. It's only victorious from FaZe.
Yeah, Train to Kill might be able to... They might be able to pass up Rejects here. If he's able to get this chicken dinner. Oh, Icy knows, though. And IHC, by the way, they're a bit further down on the leaderboards. But if IHC gets this chicken dinner, they already have 10 eliminations. That does mean on the very last game, it is doable for them as well to make it into the top 3. And this has been a crazy game for IHC. They've been working down from the north side as a duo this entire time, getting so many eliminations. And Jane is definitely on the back foot. This is going to be a tough task for Jane to win. The quick peeks out of Icy, back and forth. Oh, good connections back from Jane. This is a dance-off, one-on-one, but Venturas from the off angle, from the distance, will knock Icy. This makes it into a 3-way 1v1. Venturas might actually be in the biggest advantage all the way downhill. Jane has to be worried about pushing up, and just as I say that, yeah, Venturas could come in and sweep below, and Ziol is going to come out over the top and pick up Jane, get the revive. That's Train to Kill out in 3rd place. IHC looking to get the 1st place finish. Can he get the revive in time, though? I don't think he can. Venturas very aggressive with the MG3, but the peaks are good out of IHC. They've done almost, I don't want to say almost nothing the entire day. Definitely not the performance we're used to seeing out of IHC, but on the second to last game, they get the chicken dinner. It's possible now for them to break into the top 3.
I think what they've just done, obviously before the points that Rejects were able to pick up, they would have put themselves on, let's say, roughly 201 points. That's 5 points away from what Rejects' position was. Yes, Rejects picked up points in this last game, so I don't know, at the very least, I think they might have just beaten our Train to Kill. So for IHC, we were talking about it, that was 3 substitutes. And finally, we see that semblance of hope for IHC. They pick up a massive game. Now they put in a conversation piece. IHC, top 3? Question mark?
Yeah, potentially. Same with Train to Kill. They keep themselves just right within striking distance, but it requires a huge game out of Train to Kill and IHC to break into the top 3. And, well, IHC, they did it once just now. They need to do it one more time.
You can see it in the players' faces. They are so hyped. 27 points and pulling out an insanely clutch chicken dinner. It's IHC Esports. FaZe Clan putting up some big points as well. Time to kill putting up some points. This is good. This came to the last game. It came down to the last game, 7.
100%. And what's crazy too is that Reject was only able to get those 6 points. The teams that needed to step up, at one point I was like, Nonshim, Team Falcons. I mean, they don't need to step up, but they could definitely steal those points. But it kind of allowed IHC and the other teams like T2K to put themselves ready to strike in the last match, Glitter.
I actually love that somehow the entire top 8 of this is not any of the squads that we've really been talking about all that much. Now we've got IHC up here, Falcon up here, Nokshim up here. I mean, look at the top performers. They have multiple 1K damage performances. I see over that 1K mark. I mean, everybody waited a little bit too long to step up here. But this is what I was so excited for, because that chicken dinner puts IHC 2 points away from T2K, which means they are only 11 points from tying Reject. They need 12 if Reject somehow gets a goose egg. But I mean, that's too close for comfort. Reject doesn't want that to happen.
They don't. And what's crazy too, I mean, Geek Fam guaranteed first place, right? 4 a.m. guaranteed as well. The other teams that were in like 5th, 6th, actually 7 even, could actually have a chance depending on what Reject does in this next match. And right here, I mean, Vivo Kid, 151 points, Besiktas, Genesis could catch up to them and pass them. So Besiktas needs to wake up, make something happen, at least get some points, whether it's placement points, whether it's healing points, anything can go your way. Xavier was able to collect at least 8 points in some crazy alternative world. No. Somehow, all right?
Oh my
Somehow, Xavier could possibly make it in, but I'm doubtful
I can't believe it.
I'm doubtful as well.
This is intense. I know everybody's got their notepads out. I know they're all going to be doing some crazy math, because this is coming down to the absolute wire here, Glitter. One final match to decide who is going to get that golden ticket and who's going home today.
This is interesting because our top Erangel performers are obviously our current top 3, but then a team that is also technically within striking distance if they have a really, really solid performance. But then we got to talk about the teams above them, because those are the ones that need to close it out. And honestly, Game Lord, no, not Game Lord, sorry, Genesis, Dogma, and Vivo Key, they were separated by 5 points before this match, and then it only got chipped down by 1. That was a missed opportunity massively by Genesis there. So this is their last shot to make it into the top 11. They need to do something too.
Oh, not to mention you got so many squads that are trying to hunt down that 3rd place finish. I mean, mainly you got, you know, Time to Kill, you got Tem Entertainment. You know what, guys? You guys break it down for us. 7, why don't we start with your teams to watch here?
Reject, I have to start with that team. I mean, the strategies that I was very much against at halfway through the day, I'm hoping that they actually do that strategy, which is just play it super safe, try to collect some extra points, because then it would make it really hard for the other teams to catch up to them. Genesis, if I'm Genesis, I'm going actually a little bit more aggressive. I'm taking reins of their destiny, and I'm hoping that they actually try to lure out or try to spot some of the other teams that they need to take off to be able to make that move to 11th place. And T2K, same thing. You gotta hunt down Reject. You gotta be able to make sure IHC doesn't hunt you down. These teams are gonna have to be on the lookout, because I feel like it might not be a hot drop, but they will be looking for each other.
See, you say T2K and I said IHC, because now they've got a little bit of momentum under their belt. Will they just randomly, in the last 2 matches of the day, have 2 back-to-back pop-off performances that jump them from not within contention to in 3rd place? I mean, if I were Reject, I'd be scared. That's why Reject's up here for me as well. And like you said, Genesis, Dogma, Gits, this is it. Make or break. You're either going home or you're at least making it through to survival stage.
Yep. How about some free?
Okay.
How about this? Since
No,
we have
wait,
a little bit of time.
wait. Before we
How
say
about
something-
some free points?
Wait,
What if
wait.
those teams at the top, instead of hot dropping, right, the teams that they need to hunt down, what if they hot drop some of the lower end teams that really haven't performed well the whole tournament and try to get those points that
I
way?
think that's too risky.
They're going to
I
start
think
playing
that's too
scared.
risky.
See,
I
I
think
knew
it's
it,
too-
Jukes. They're going to
Yeah.
start playing scared. They don't want to do it.
Okay, here's my question. I think this is the big one right here, right? Rejects. Do you land in the spot that you've been landing this whole tournament? Glitter.
Or do you go off and hide in a corner of the map and hope no one finds
Yeah,
you?
I mean, literally, that's something you have to think about here. Because you are the golden child right now. I mean, everybody is hunting you down to steal that third place finish, okay? Do you land in your normal spot and risk getting taken out early? Or do you hide somewhere and mix it up? I mean, that's the question.
Mix it up somewhere that you have as a backup drop that you know no one has been going to, and just pray that it works.
I'm with you on that. I
Seven?
would actually expect them to hopefully do kind of like a 2-2 split, not too far away from each other. Nothing super crazy. They're still gonna be able to back up each other if for some reason they do get into a fight. But yeah, don't go to the exact same spot that you've been going.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, I think it's way too risky right now. You have the most biggest target on your back that you could possibly imagine. I mean, Game Lord, look at them. Obviously, look, he needs to get some energy before the game starts. Like they said, oh, Donkshin Red Force. You can just see right now they're just thinking, why did we not play like this earlier?
You know, we had this conversation on like
Hurts.
day 2, Jukes, okay? We knew that this was going to happen. We had the
Oh,
conversation
look at 'em.
again on
Wait,
day
wait.
3.
Look at Reject. You can just see the stress in their face, just thinking, what do we do? Do we go to our drop location? Do we change it? The entire weight is on them. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that this is a conversation we've already had. We knew that there was the potential for this to happen. We tried to give whatever forewarnings we could because it literally happens every event and somehow people don't learn, even though it still happens. And now we have multiple squads put in a position where their entire fate in this tournament is determined by this last match of the day. You want to be the Geek Fams and the 4 Angry Men who have solidified your position and can go into this last match a little bit more confidently. Even you want to be one of the teams in 4th and 5th because if you're not getting your golden ticket, at least you're staying alive till survival stage. The squads that are fighting for the bubble and the squad that is in 3rd, aka Reject, the 2 bubbles, those are the scariest spots to be in. And like you said, how many times they're probably sitting there just thinking, what could we have changed on day 1, on day 2, or on day 3 to not have put ourselves in this position?
Vivo Key is literally biting their nails. Like, literally. I can't blame them right now. I mean, they have to be frustrated with their performance here overall. I mean, not even being in a position to possibly get top 3. But now they're in the position to risk not even being in this tournament. Still, they're pretty decently safe, but, you know, who knows? It's anybody's game here at this point. You can even see GK just trying to come up with some different strategies here. I mean, I can only imagine what is going through these players' heads. Their minds have to be going a mile a minute right now, Seth.
Yeah, T2K, look at them. They're being a little bit more calm. They're trying to figure out, except for the guy second to the right. He seemed like he was stressing right there a little bit. And then you have Geek Fam. I mean, they're like, hey, what do you want to do? You want to maybe hot drop on somebody
What are you gonna spend the money
just
on?
to have fun? Yeah.
I think they're already talking about what they're going to buy at the end of the day. Because, I mean, they got this one in the bag. They got the hand warmers on. They are pumped up. And, look at the difference. Oh, my goodness. Stressing.
Remember earlier when they were saying they were feeling so-so? Well, that so-so has become very stressful. And on top of that, they were saying they were feeling really confident. The confidence has diminished a little bit, if I would say so myself, because 5 points away from 11th spot comes down to the last game. This is not the place where you want to be. T2K, I was saying maybe they were a little bit relaxed. the closer they actually get into the game, that relaxation is going to go away and it's just going to become super stressful. Vivo keyed. I mean, this was a team that I believe I called out, what was it, yesterday or the day before yesterday, saying how they've been at least within that top 11. They should have been able to do something to maintain some kind of consistency to keep themselves above that. They haven't. And then you have some players. Game Lord. This team, we got to give this team some props. They didn't start off so well. They were super passive. Glitter, they have shown a completely different mode of them playing here. They have shown that they can adjust. And I really love what that team has been able to showcase today.
Not only did they adjust well, but I felt like they just looked more comfortable. They looked more confident in their game when they were playing, and that was something that we were kind of missing from them up until maybe the second half of this weekend. I mean, first half wasn't so great for them, and that's something we talk about because obviously day to day, these teams, these individual players have to make adjustments. They have to be able to go back and review those VODs, look at the individual mistakes that they're making, the team mistakes they're making, and make those changes, and then implement them with very little time to really go through a lot of it. But at least we're seeing some of these people having a really good time. We've watched a lot of focus, a lot of kind of trying to zen themselves out or looking stressed and completely not looking forward to this last match. But this is fun. This is fun.
Like the guy in the background. Man,
I'll tell you what.
Jukes, the one in the front are all having fun. The guy in the background is like, okay, you guys need to quit.
Like, come on, guys. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, man. So has become right now for these players. I mean, this is what it all comes down to here. I mean, I love just seeing the players' faces and the thoughts that are going through their head right now. Like, honestly, if I was in Reject's shoes, I would probably drop Nongshon Red Force's location because I would bet my money that they're going to go and hot drop somebody. So I think that if they go to their location, it could potentially be open. And I think that would probably be a safer bet for them because worst case, they have to fight them. And I think they could. I think that's a team that they can definitely take. But man, it's a 50-50 coin flip. And I'll tell you right now, this is why IGL is one of the toughest positions in PUBG Mobile because you have to make that coin flip decision on, hey, what are we gonna do? Do we do this? Do we do that? And if you're wrong, your whole team's looking at you right now.
Yeah, and you can try to predict so much stuff, right? You can try to predict, okay, we're going to try to land here, but if we get one of the crazier playing paths that we have been getting, some teams are going to have to adjust on the fly. It might end up backfiring. We see it over and over again, not just this week. We have seen it last week and the week before that too. Plan B, Plan C, Plan D are going to come into play, and hopefully some of the other teams don't have the exact same plan as you, Glitter.
You know, we're talking about the potential strategy that Reject is going to have because they're going to have one of the largest targets on their back. Whether that is someone directly under them deciding that it's going to be worth the risk to try and take them out early, or that's just going to be one of the bottom teams randomly just deciding to YOLO onto them because they know that there's no chance for them to qualify. But we probably can also talk about the teams directly below Reject because they have a decision to make too. Do they try to go big in the last match and take out their competition? Because even if they have a great game, if somehow Reject matches their performance, then their game won't matter. So there's a two-part consideration to their strategy. They have to take Reject out, and they also have to get points. So what do they do in that situation?
That's the big question. By the way, thank you everybody for being so patient. It looked like one of the players did have a little bit of a tech issue. So it looks like we got about 5 minutes until the next game. So grab a water, grab some popcorn and get ready because this last one's going to be one heck of a show. So let's just kind of reiterate some of the numbers for everybody that could just happen to be tuning in here for the first time because I know everybody out there is telling, hey, you got some time, get in the game, watch this right now. So Rejects in 3rd place, 212 points.
Yep.
Train to Kill is in 4th place with 203 points. So they're 9 points behind them. That's going to be at least a 3rd place finish if Reject gets 0 points. So if you're Train to Kill, you're going to try to get some eliminations early on for sure. IHC is 11 points behind in 5th place. And then you got Tam Entertainment. Tam Entertainment's got one heck of a stretch here because they are exactly, what is that? 212, 186. They are exactly 18?
For Tam Entertainment?
Oh, I'm sorry, my math.
For Tam Entertainment?
Hold on, let me
26 points behind.
26 points behind. That's right. Math getting tough here.
You're doing great.
So if you're 26 points behind, FaZe Clan is 27. It's possible, right?
Yep.
But Reject would have to go out immediately. Like literally immediately. So if you're Tem or FaZe Clan, I think you have to hunt down Reject. Like I think you have no choice at this point because getting 26 points, I mean, well, you have to get at least 27, and if Reject gets another point, that's 28. You're gonna be that's way too risky, way too risky at this point. So, I think you have to hunt down Reject and get them out as early as possible, and then just farm eliminations and try to get that chicken dinner. Glitter, do you think that's something that they would do right now? Is hunt them down?
I mean, for my own selfish entertainment-based purposes, I would love to say yes. I think that it would have depended on the team. I think if we were asking this question and it was Geek Fam who needed to get into top 3 or even 4 Angry Men and we were like, would you think we'll be aggressive? It'd be so easy for me to be like, yeah, they're going to do it. They've been doing it the whole time. Why wouldn't they do it now? But not everybody has been playing that way. I truly think that a lot of these middle ground teams are going to end up playing it safe, thinking that that's the better choice, and that last conservative decision, I'm telling you.
That's the wrong answer. 1,000% that's the wrong answer.
Well, I think it's the wrong answer, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, because, I mean, the thing is, especially with a break like this, not to mention you got some teams that are super bummed out at the bottom. They realize they're going home after this, and they ain't trying to really delay the inevitable at this point. So we've seen this multiple times, right, Seven Glitter? Right at the end, the last game, like half the eliminations are gone within the first few minutes. So for those teams that desperately need them, they're going to be just trying to hunt down teams and be like, where the heck is everybody going? So if they even try to play this slightly conservative, that's it. It's over. They're not going to get top 3. Like, I think they have to land and literally full push every squad and hope for the best if they want something to happen. If they don't do that, it's over.
For Tem and IHC, I feel like if they can find a way to find Reject, right? Maybe not a hot drop, but just try to cut them off, whether it's in an early rotation or whatever the case might be, just an early engagement between Reject, Tem, and IHC. And if they win that engagement, then I would say start playing towards the final. Yeah, if you do see an opportunity to get into a fight, get into that fight. But I just don't know how confident this team will be. Tem is in good mood, right? They're currently having the time of their lives. But when it comes to the game, when maybe you have one of your players knocked, the pressure is going to kick in because you're going to have to rethink what you want to do. And then being able to get into those engagements early on, you are risking losing some players. And we always know what happens when you lose those players. You're going to put yourself at just such a big disadvantage, Glitter, that it's not going to work out. So, I mean, we can talk here about different strategies.
Yeah.
We can do this over and over again. But at the end of the day, these teams are going to be stressing out, no matter whether they're looking stressed on the screen right now or whether they were looking playful, having fun. Once they're in the game, you best believe everything that's flashbacks even are going to be coming back to, oh man, we should have done this instead of that. And that's going to hunt them.
That's the worst part.
Big time. Big, you can already see, look, Xavier, they know the position that they're in. They know it's over. And that's all I think they're already thinking about is what could we have done differently? What play we could have done? Well, one thing I hope is that these players don't really go and start doing the whole, name blame where they're saying like, hey, well, if you would have done this in game 4, game 5, I think they just need to look as a group together and just say, hey, okay, what do we need to work on here for next year and get it done? Because I think we've seen too many teams leave here and then just start dropping players, swapping them out, thinking that's the problem.
That's
in reality,
just
you know, it's
thing.
yeah. Well,
I feel like it happens a lot more
we
in
see some
a
swaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, we see IHC, right, doing some player swaps twice today. I mean, how do you think that has impacted their overall gameplay, Seven?
They're just trying out different stuff. I mean, at this point, we've been saying it, stuff hasn't been going their way. Might as well give it a try, right? And for DX Saber, when I was looking at them there, it's just disappointed, man. This is a team that ended up being 5th place in grand finals of PMGC 2021. An awful performance out of them, and that's definitely going to be hunting them down. I mean, their fans are not going to be happy. Their country's not going to be happy about that, and I'm pretty sure the players are going to be kicking themselves about
They're not
their
done
performance.
yet. We got one more game.
Oh, you're saying there's a chance
Well-
now? Okay.
Well, guys, get ready because the game is locked and loaded. These players are ready. The final game for the PUBG Mobile Global Championships Group Yellow is on its way. Let's take it on over to the casters for the final time.
Thank you, Hot Jukes. This is it, the last match of the day of this tournament of the group stages. It is all coming down to this. And before we head in, before we see the drops, Jukes mentioned something that I really want to touch on. The hot drop. The reject team. Do they drop where they usually do? Because we did see in week number 1, the team of S2G, who was sitting in 3rd place, did get hot dropped and chased down by LGD, the team in 4th place. So it is a threat looming over the heads of the rejects that they do heavily need to consider.
I mean, that's why we saw their faces looking the way that they did, right? They were contemplating exactly that. They've had the VOD reviews. They know exactly what's at stake. They know what information is available to the other teams. If they know that they need to hunt down rejects, where they're going to go. Ruins? I was like, there's a little bit of information available for that. So where we need to see right now, these teams heading towards, if we see any sort of movement towards those locations, rejects are going to have a bit of a surprise on their hands.
Definitely so. Well, we'll know very shortly. It also depends on the playing path. I do believe Ruins typically is where the rejects like to prefer to drop in on. So we see here, playing path out on your screen. It's a good playing path for everybody involved, which also means it's a good playing path for any potential hot drops. Anybody could get to anywhere that they would like. This is gonna get very interesting. Teams dropping out right here. IHC will go for the Novo side. Geek Fam dropping out very early. We've seen Geek Fam take military base as well, though. But one team we don't see is 4 AM, so 4 AM is going to go towards the North George area.
I mean, similar situation for them. They don't want to give anyone an opportunity to get the drop. Another question we have to ask ourselves is who will be going home at the end of this match? One more opportunity, a few potential changes we might see at the end for that survival stage. Vivo Keyed, they had 6 points over on Miramar to keep them safe, at least for now, as the gatekeepers in 11th, but now that's been reduced to 5. Genesis Dogma, I mean, if you want to talk about the survival instinct, if you want to talk about fighting right till the end, this has to be it for them. And they're going to be dropping down right on Milton, right alongside FaZe, that zone heading to the north. And look at where rejects are currently finding themselves.
Yep, rejects do drop in Ruins uncontested. There is a team of Vivo Keyed parachuting overhead. I think Vivo Keyed is just trying to go to the South George area, hospital area. That's where they usually loot. So no hot drops. The rejects are safe for now, at least for the beginning of the match. Everybody's just going to play this normally, at least as far as the drops are concerned. We might see some targeted traps, like rotational traps. Teams are very familiar with rejects drop, so also with a zone like this, they could kind of predict potentially or how the rejects will path and rotate. So we might see some shenanigans still, but at least off drop, everything looking to be quite normal. The circle, not the most normal of Erangel circles. We do have a little bit of a potential northern shift, which could be involved with the Osnaya Stalber, or a southern shift south of that.
I mean, Seven mentioning that 2-2 split here for Rejects, trying to keep themselves in a potential dynamic shift, right? Having that opportunity that if something does happen, they can take that rotation on out, they can take that rotation on in, Pincer, whoever is applying that pressure if they need to, or at the very least, focus on the longevity game. I mean, at this point in time, anything that they can make happen, any potential control they can apply to the Sarangle will be making a difference. We're not seeing any of those hot drops though; they will be relatively uncontested. Falcons, they brought in some extra energy in the previous game. This time, it looks like Team Entertainment have immediately gone for that revenge play. They went out very early on because of Falcons. Is going to be the turnaround.
Yeah, we've seen these two teams share this drop almost every single match, but finally in the very last game, Team Entertainment with somewhat of a far shot off into the top 3, they're gonna be aggressive. Furious Gaming getting one onto Besiktas. Ooh, that's very not good for Besiktas. Like, they are in 10th place, but if Vivo Keed and Genesis Dogma Gids come out strong in this game, Besiktas could all of a sudden find themselves knocked out of the survival stage. And 10-minute tournament, they're gunning for it. Never alone. This time is very much alone in this compound by himself. His two teammates across the ways does put in some supporting fire to get a knock. But Tem Entertainment, they're like, we've had enough of this. This is the last match on the last day. We're not sharing this with you guys any longer. Falcons find themselves down to 2.
Honestly, the only shared point, the only thing that I know for a fact that is concrete at this point in time is that Never Alone needs to change their name. Every single time, they are the only player left for Falcons. So please, can we talk about an IGN change here? Something is happening. But Team Entertainment, they are heading through into Napoliano with a vengeance, looking at Falcons, trying to kill. Again, I would love it for them to make it on into top 3 just purely based on the fact
what
that
an
this is one
aid.
of their first BMGCs. Falcons, they are still feeling the pressure.
All the way up to the top. That was a homing missile, if anything. Man, Yusuf definitely wasn't expecting that. Powerful was thinking about running away, and then he realizes the only way we get into the survival stage is if I 1v4 this right here and then pull out a miracle run. So no point in running away. It's the last game. You need points. Why run away? And he's going to get that first aid off. And I like this. It's better for Team Entertainment to get these points because there's a potential there. Potential that they get themselves into a top 3 finish. Teams making mad dash rotations right now. Nongshim, Red Force making a rotation. Oh, Powerful's got 2. Okay, you guys get taken down. Powerful manages to knock 2 out of the Team Entertainment. I was thinking maybe some sort of crazy upset, but that would be the end of that.
Yeah, Team Entertainment, again, nothing really to lose for them in this scenario. Whether they do have a massive game here or not, they will be moving on. They will be moving into the survival stage. But if something happens, if they do bring in an absolute banger of a game, then yes. Then they're in top 3. Then they have saved themselves a little bit of torment. In all honesty, that's all I can talk about as the survival stage. So if you can save yourself that trouble, please do, because that survival stage we keep talking about it, the team's in there waiting for them. It is going to be tough. Furious Gaming and FaZe finding one another. A little bit of a turnaround from FaZe, at least, as they find Fernan, but this is really... There's no opportunity for Furious Gaming to close this out. At the very least, they can just take this engagement with some pride.
Try and not finish in last place potentially, but it's looking like they might just go down in last place. Unless a FaZe messes us up here. They're trying to finish this last player out, and they do manage to find it. Furious Gaming still have Milos all the way long range, trying to do some supporting fire, but at this point, when teams are playing this aggressive, you just got to get close and personal. Milos, last one up. FaZe getting the reset back up to 3. Milos trying to find some sort of angle possible, but it is too late for him. Furious Gaming might find themselves packing it home in a last place finish.
That's just going to break Seven's heart. He's been shouting at them for the last 3 days.
I think
he's been the biggest Furious Gaming supporter since day number 1.
I think Seven's given up on Furious Gaming. At some point, seeing this perform like this right here, I don't think it's going to break Seven's heart. I think Seven's already moved past it.
He's that the fate he knew.
Yeah.
Coming into today, I mean, it was just looking rough, man. Longshan Red Force already, they picked up the pacing. They made sure that they're not going to be finishing in last place. So, yeah, for Seven, I guess times have passed. You know, maybe there was a glimmer of hope, but Seven will never tell us that. No. But as we take a look at it, that rotation up into the north, IHC having to make that move on in from the military base island. Yep, goodbye, Furious Gaming. It was nice to have you. They will be uncontested. You know, Genesis Dogma, they actually opted for an earlier rotation, so they left Farm/Milta, they left that potential of a bridge camp, and they're focusing on rotations, as I believe they need to.
Oh, Train to Kill, finding an important elimination point right there onto 4 a.m.
Ooh.
Very good shots out of Train to Kill, ripping that player right out the vehicle. That's not easy to do, especially with the direction that the 4 a.m. player was traveling in correspondence to the bullets that were raining down. Tracking that, very good job out of Train to Kill. Now, I'm looking at RC right now, the rejects. They're approaching this last game with a lot of caution. I think they've already breathed a huge sigh of relief by not getting hot dropped on. So now you can see they're playing on the edge. They're 2-2 split. I don't know if that's a 2-2 that they're trying to, you know, pick up some points from inside the blue, like trapping Game Lords on rotation. That shouldn't be the case. If you're going to be trapping players for points, you should be doing it as a 4-man team. I think RC just in coincidence, you know, had Game Lord pass by, but RC is actually trying to remain low and quiet as much as possible. 4 a.m. continuing to play big. They're playing like they have nothing to lose, honestly, making the big rotation still. And, ooh, they need to get out of there. Oh, that's another player caught off for sure. Ooh, good shout. Barely getting down the hill, but still ending up getting caught. 4 a.m. all of a sudden down to 2 players. This is more and more of a chance for rejects, if anything, to get second place over the top of 4 a.m.
Hey, I mean, they're running in that 2-2 split. Honestly, I just think because they want to give themselves the best possible chance, right? I mean, yes, if they do get caught out on the one side, at least the other side can take that rotation on in. Like we said, you know, having to just make that disengagement, make that choice. But they will be regrouping after that little bit of a scary engagement with Game Lords. Maybe rethinking that plan, maybe rethinking that approach on into the proving grounds. They're getting ready for that gauntlet that's coming up next.
We see Vivo Keyed, another team trying to make or keep their survival stage spot. Genesis Dogma very close behind. Vivo Key coming in from the northwest, just making their way into the northwestern edge of zone. So they're not going to go for a hard rotation center. Rejects on the far southwest coming in just on the edge as well, playing it much safer, but they will find themselves next to the team of Geek Fam. Now, Geek Fam
do what Genesis Dogma can do. If we're going to have a difference, you know, coming into this last game, if the 5 players, or the 5 teams rather, that we're going to be saying goodbye to is going to change, it's going to be up to the zone as well, moving into more to the north. Team Entertainment still near Sniperiana, holding in a fantastic set of buildings and hardcover to work with. They haven't really had to move at all. So maybe they can bring on in some crazy eliminations as those teams have to make the rotations. This is not the rotation you want to make, rejects. Leave right now. That is all I can say.
Yeah, a lot of rejects players taking damage there, and I'm surprised Geek Fam didn't get in their cars and just decide to chase one of those buggies down. I mean, if I was Geek Fam, first place no matter what, I'd be having fun just like that. And luckily for rejects, that is not the case. But Genesis Dogma, this is a team we need to watch out for. This is the team trying to break into that bubble. One of their players is knocked. FaZe, we saw them playing very aggressive early on. They get an opening knock, but even then, this compound might be too tough for them to crack as a 3-man team. So FaZe is going to leave them alone for now. Genesis Dogma gets the reset back up to 4.
Ooh, we've got some scary prospects here. Rejects. Yeah, that made me very, very nervous. But Genesis Dogma, also a team that is fighting for their opportunity, fighting for their lifeline into this tournament. 5 points away from Vivo Keyed. We can see it on the screens right there. Vivo Keyed already picking up those 3 eliminations, just furthering that gap.
Yep.
Not spelling a good opportunity here for Genesis Dogma, but Game Lords as well. Losing at least a player almost immediately. Trained to Kill, however, being the ones to pick that one up. With so many storylines to follow, I think I'm just going to be staring at numbers the whole day.
Yep, that's 2 more points. That's 2 more points closer for Train to Kill, closing that gap onto the Rejects team. Rejects coming in from the far eastern edge. So Rejects will have to fight their way into many of these circles. Definitely got very close to potentially losing a player or two, or even the whole team when they drove by Geek Fam. Man, that was scary for the Rejects team. 4AM, meanwhile, has been knocked down to 2 very early on, doing their, kind of calculated risk rotations this time, not getting the better end of things, but they'll find themselves pretty central as a 2-man. Train to Kill with a really strong position, honestly, on the northwestern edge. They have a lot of options to play into the rest of the game with 4 members, and 4AM is probably the biggest roadblock for Train to Kill. And 4AM only has 2 members, so if Train to Kill play it correctly, they'd be able to pick up 2 more points and take over 4AM's strong position.
Again, these storylines that are potentially building off of the fact that we're seeing these crazy rotations. It is going to be a treat. It is, like we said, coming down to the last game. That last zone, that last decision can make the world of difference here. That zone getting closer and closer. Yasnaya, Poliana, right in center. We've got Nongshim Red Force. We've got Tem Entertainment up towards the north. We got Train to Kill up towards the northwest, holding that position. I mean, how do you think their odds are going to fare when all of those teams are moving now in from the south? The opportunities for them, the line of sights, Vivo Keyed right behind them.
Yeah, I was looking at Rejects rotation. It looks like they're cutting down the middle, going somewhere. This is going to be a very messy rotation. So many teams will not want to take Yasnaya. They don't want to, lock themselves into the city. And there's not much else left to play elsewhere. D. Xavier losing a couple members. Besiktas right there picking up some much-needed points for their safety.
Genesis are getting very close to this. They're getting very, very close to this opportunity. Train to Kill just found out.
Right there. Reg is knocked. I think Train to Kill is heavily debating. Do we stay here and try and help him out, or do I just leave him? Train to Kill, I feel like they need to come back and take this fight. This might knock them out, but sure, they need a massive game. They're only a couple points away. And Jane is back. Sendesh in the long range, providing some sort of support. They will try and eject Legend out of there. Vivo Keyed will take over this position. They don't have the zone here, so Train to Kill is going to play from further inside the zone. They weren't able to get the revive, unfortunately. But Train to Kill hopefully can make it out with 3. The back of that buggy. They need a crossover, and I think they do manage to make it. IHG, meanwhile, taking over this position. 2 elimination points. I think they picked up 2 onto Genesis Dogma. Yeah, Genesis Dogma down to 2 players with 0 elimination points still. It is looking darker and darker for them. Tem Entertainment, meanwhile, on the other hand, 6 elimination points. I know they're a bit behind IHC in Train to Kill, but 6 elimination points, it's a start.
Again, also have to note that Train to Kill, IHC, the teams that are hunting after Rejects, have eliminations, whereas Rejects have literally nothing. And they're going to be moving on into Yasnaya Poliana right alongside Tem Entertainment. Storyline for that a little bit later on. That engagement with Vivo Keyed and Train to Kill was spelling a little bit of opportunity for Genesis Dogma, but at the same time, they get forced on into a contention by IHC and Train to Kill back on off. So now, again, it's just looking darker and darker. As you've mentioned, Genesis, this is going to be a tough one. Nades moving on in from IHC. There's a little bit more pressure with the likes of FaZe when we consider it. As soon as they make that rotation, they put themselves out in the open. I do not see a pathing that they could take out of this. They have to just stay and fight by the looks of things.
Yeah. 4AM was taken out by Tem Entertainment, by the way, so it gives a chance for the Reject. Oh, full send by Geek Fam on the northeast, right onto the side of the Rejects team. Rejects open it up with the initial nade knock. But Geek Fam's such a dangerous team, and Rejects is definitely playing, I wouldn't say scared, but they're definitely nervous here. So many teams potentially looking to take their 3rd place position. Rejects get a confirmation, it seems like, in that elimination feed onto 1. Meanwhile, elsewhere, IHC pull on up, and I think IHC might be done for. 1 player goes down for IHC. There's only 1 up. Alex, this is IHC's run for the top 3, pretty much closed shut. Yep, IHC is out. Geek Fam.
Gimana carry lo gusto din sana mo? Ahoy kedilu. Komailu kedit kedi. Yoba khalid. মই একো নাপাই ঘূৰি অহাডাল পালো
रेडी करो भाई
एरेंगल की खेलिबি स्टीमर আছা নি
टीडीएम खेलेंगे रेंगल नहीं
ওরা মনে মেসেজ না আ যাচ্ছে
एक गेम लगाओ टीडीएम उसके थोड़ा देर के बाद
चलो
This is a simulation game set in a virtual world and does not represent real life. Please play in moderation, take frequent breaks, and play responsibly.
Cover me! Team match, let's go.
The blue team has scored for the first time!
Reloading!
जिंदगी ने जिंदगी भर लंबे नहीं संदे बहुत हुए थे
No mercy! Dead! Cover me! Reloading! Cover me!
la camper sala camper लेगा
No mercy! Dead! Reloading!
The red team is in the lead.
No mercy!
Killing spree for the red team.
camper अबे हेड दिया था अभी।
Kill! Cover me!
वो हुई खेले थे।
Great! You're about to win!
The red team doesn't have a lot of time.
I got supplies.
Enemy down! Reloading! Cover me! Clear!
Half of the match is over, and the red team is in the lead.
Red team victory!
वो हुई खेले थे। দিগন্তকে কাহিলে আকৌ বাহিৰত চাওঁ বোলা দিগন্তকে চাওঁ খেল
तुमको
रेडी 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 कर रेडी कर रेडी करो रेडी करो
मैंने दम मार दिलो
रेडी कर
मोर भूल हो गया
This is a simulation game set in a virtual world and does not represent real life. Please play in moderation. Take frequent breaks and play responsibly.
Korgodi fotko dam mari mari sumo.
Good luck, mate. Good luck, mate.
Minta nama bagi.
তো কথা নকবি কথা নকবি এতিয়া वाह 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 लाइक कर दो सब्सक्राइब कर दो क्या बोल रहा है रे तू बबुआ
नंबर ऑफ लाइव चला गया
नहीं आ जाएगा वो आ जाएगा अरे YouTube चैनल खोल के रखा है क्या 3 नंबर
Gila anime নাই নেকি ভালে হল anime নাই যাতে কেলা টপাতে কেনেকা মৰি যায় anime গেম পাকেট টপাতে থাকিলে কেলা চিকেন ডিনাৰ হৈ যায় না মই আগতে নামি দিলো Hah? Mau kurut safety meli tak marin bahas lagi lihat tolong gini kalau Tapa.
Ko.
Enemy কেনেকা মাৰে গম পালি নাই? অলপ ট্ৰেইনিং লৈ লৈ মোৰে। 13টা মাৰ দিলো max। স্কোৰ কৰি জাম্প মাৰি কতখন মাৰিছো মই এনে শিকিলা। বল এনিমি মাৰিব যাব লাগে বল। চেল্টাৰ বল। চেল্টাৰ। গাড়ী আছে তাত লৈ আগে যাত। প্লেয়াৰ মাৰিছে চেল্টাৰত। প্ৰিজনত বল বল। চল প্লেয়াৰ প্ৰিজন। বাকি গাড়ী আছে গ্ৰেজত। মোৰ লগত একজন যাব পাৰিব বাইকত। মোৰ বাইক আছে আহি যা তাতে। বটটো মাৰিয়ে যাম কেলা। কোনে মাৰিলে? যাবি যেতিয়া প্ৰিজন বল। ইমান বট কিলাৰ নেকি তোৰ? নবৰা খেলা। মাৰ গান নহয় ব কি হ'ল কাহিনী খতম হৈ গ'ল যেন। আগত আছে বব। টপা বল আমাৰ পিছনে থাকিবি তই এনে আগত গৈ মৰি দিবি। Maksudnya ini kita buat. Itu ফায়ারটো হৈ আছিলে এতিয়া আগত পাই গ'ল সিহঁত
Enemies ahead.
আছে Mocassinha.
Marked a location.
Iman nuk kila mo mari. Lagi? Ini kan lagi le. Ekor पूरा खेला আমি গোল করেছিল তারা যাটা ফাসা যা তো শেল্টার বুলি কলে এখানে মেরাত লৈছিল এর মার মারছে मेन बिल्डिंग बसले तो केला स्कूल लो आइले डर गया क्या एनिमेशन देखो बहुत लगे मैंने ना अंगा हाँ मोरी भी हुमा कौन पहले को फिनिश कर दिया हाँ उठा गान उठा डीपी पे लाई सकते ना ये तो মজা মজা বাকি মজা তই পিলো তো কেলা আই কেলা খাতৰা হৈ দিলে ৰে মুগী M4 লৈ আছে কেলা একো নাই মোৰ লগত একো নাই মোৰ লগত তপাহঁতৰ লগত আছিলে সুধিছে স্কুল বল স্কুল তপা কলে মাৰিব যাবি আৰু বহুত দিলি আবাগিয়া হেল কিল লবিয়া বেন্ডেজ তপাই বহুত বিলি বেয়া মাৰিব আহিছে অকলে মই নাহিলে তো কেলা মৰি থাকে আৰু এখানে আপনে ৰাস্তা আপনে মাৰিবি কেলা তপা
I need consumables. I got supplies.
কেলা একটা এনিমি আইছে দে বল স্কুল বল পারবে BSS মারিছে কোনোবাই কম না পাইলে এগুলো BSS মারাতে তিনজন একেলগে যাম কিলা কাক মাৰিব বল আগত যাবা এরা 5 pro গুলি আছে বে Five primo evo fila. Eight আছে Mal যাব লাগে আর লাগে মানে রাখি কি করি খেলছিস না লগে mal যাব লাগে আর দরসা
Enemies ahead. Enemies ahead.
পরে নেমে আসে তো বিএসএস কোনে লয় আছে জানিস না আমার তোমার কোনে বেলা এসে নাকি রজকত গৈ চাবিচোন রজকত একবার গৈছে পতা বসাম নেকি তাক
Help! Help!
বসাব পাৰা যায় মাতে
Help! Help!
নো নো
Help! Help!
নো গান মারালে
Help! Help!
বল 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 পিছনে বল
Watch out! Watch out! Help! 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 Watch out! Help! Help!
বা তাপা মগি ভাই দিবা
Help!
উঠা কোনোবা
I need consumables.
মই ব্লিডিং হৈ গলো খতম নেকি নে আছে তাপা নিবি মাৰা মানে ন তাপা মই কেলা মলি কৰি থাকোতে টাইম গ'ল ক'ত আছিলে এনিমি কেইটা
I got supplies.
ডিপি মোক কেলা তলৰে মাৰিছিলে
I got supplies.
বাহ মারলি মানে না ভাল খেলছিলাম এটা এনিমি বিচার বল चल let's go কি হল বেয়া চাইছো সেন্টারে नहीं यार नहीं
Copy.
Enemies ahead!
Enemies ahead!
एक Kita vacile. Anaknya kalian numpah ke darat. Mari bagus sih besok. Enemy ini kok lagi. Apple deh. Yari. Mau खेलें लोग. Mana kau pergi? Karena मेरी साथ में इसको पकड़ने की
This is a simulation game set in a virtual world and does not represent real life. Please play in moderation, take frequent breaks, and play responsibly.
Ilta level kela. Singnya saja. Kak, saya tadi mobile.
Good luck, mates.
Bisa wasle ke mobile. Mau phone versus bisa
Mark
poise.
the location. Let's fight together.
Live stream করে আসলে নাকি? Bara tahun হয়ে যাবে জলদি বলে দিবা লাস্ট টাইম দিবে চলে জলদি মরে গেলে আরেকটা খেলে না আমি মরে গেলে
Let's go.
তোমার নাম বলি
Let's go. Enemies ahead. Enemies ahead. Marked a location. Marked a location. Watch out. Enemies ahead.
I'm really sorry.
Watch out. I need a weapon. I need a weapon. I got supplies.
Berapa selda. Bagus. इसको बता मिलो पड़ेगा.
I got supplies. I need a grip. Awesome. Thanks. I got supplies. Marked a location. Marked a location. Awesome. Watch out.
गाड़ी ahead.
Watch out. Watch out.